Los Angeles Lakers last night, 24, 12, and 9 from Giannis to lead the way for the Bucks in the victory. The Bucks emerge victorious despite Luka Doncic going for 45 points along with 11 rebounds last night. Nice win for Milwaukee, now 37 and 28 on there. Don't look now. The Bucks are starting to feel like they might be a little hot. Rematch with the Pacers this Saturday night, 7 o'clock tip. Pregame coverage starts at 6:30 here on Madison's home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN. But of course, it's all about college basketball today. 1:30 this afternoon, the quarterfinals of the Big Ten men's basketball tournament in Indianapolis. 5-seed Wisconsin, 4-seed UCLA. The Bruins beat the Badgers by 2 in the lone meeting in Pasadena earlier this year. The Badgers listed as 1.5-point favorites according to ESPN Bet. Tip time again set for 1:30. Marquette St. John's at 5:30 tonight on ESPN Milwaukee.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com. Three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, Jason Wilde.
Is there anything anybody loves more than agreeing with Tausch?
Packers Hall of Famer Mark Tauscher.
I got a hunch this isn't going to be concise either.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio.
I would say that you are pretty easygoing. You're actually probably more easygoing than I am.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Well, you're not easygoing at all.
Hey!
On 100.5 ESPN, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
It is the Friday edition. The Gabe Neitzel, what are you doing here? Edition. The Jair Alexander, what are you still doing here? The Cooper Cup. You're not going to be here. Come on. And the Feelgood Friday. I think there's a rumor we might play Where's Wildy with Gabe and see if Gabe does better than Tausch normally does on that game. All kinds of fun stuff for you. On Wilde and Tausch. On 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, ESPNWisconsin.com, the ESPN app, your Alexa smart speaker, streaming live video, Twitter, although I don't know if that's happened yet, Facebook, and YouTube. And, of course, everything you need on WisconsinOnDemand.com and the Wisconsin On Demand app. I'm Jason Wilde in Green Bay. Jesse Nelson is in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios. And serving as yet another reminder that Keith/Mark Neitzel is still waiting for my $90 check that I wrote in August.
You haven't paid my dad yet? Come on, Jason.
I still have the check. It has still been deducted in my register, but not from my account. And every once in a while, I balance my checkbook, and I'm like, why am I off by $90? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Who does that still?
Who balances their checkbook still?
Yeah.
Me. I'm a nerd. What I am not is a national ESPN radio host.
Wow.
And the occasional voice of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Wow.
My favorite games on 100.5 ESPN Madison and 620 WTMJ are when this guy and my buddy Justin Garcia are tag teaming the game. It is from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, and although not Marquette pregame yesterday, many, many other roles, it is Gabe Neitzel. Gabriel, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Are you going to be in Milwaukee anytime soon? Just bring that check. I will deliver it to my father.
Was literally
so we can
in
get
Milwaukee.
That done.
I was literally there yesterday. Yeah, but you were flying home.
I was not. Yeah, I was flying home yesterday.
And then today I'm going to be there again. You want to meet me at a gymnastics meet later this afternoon? What do you got going on?
Maybe. I mean, I got to be in Oak Creek at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Oak Creek for Marquette pregame later this afternoon. So I'll be down there for pregame and halftime, Marquette watch party as they get ready to take on St. John's.
Indeed, and they win yesterday against Xavier. Wisconsin wins against Northwestern, both advancing in their respective tournaments. Now, I believe Marquette is a semifinal and Wisconsin is only a quarterfinal, right?
That is correct, because the Big Ten famously always the last one on CBS that's going to be playing with their championship game on Sunday. Marquette's in the Big East. Their championship game is tomorrow.
And we will see if the Golden Eagles are playing in it. But again, Gabe, where are you going to be? Do people come and get like wings and hang out with you and tell you how great you are?
I'll tell you. Well, they don't tell me how great I am, but
they get
this
a
is the
pregame
second
interview,
year,
right?
This is the second year we've done these Buffalo Wild Wings watch parties for road games, and they have been very popular this year. Now, some of them, especially like yesterday's game, because it was Peacock only, which I know Tausch just absolutely loves, that all these different games are on all these different streaming services. But the Golden Eagles had a couple of games this year that were streaming services only, and a lot of people would show up for those. But these tournament games, people get excited for them. So, make sure you get there early to grab your seats because these watch parties have been wildly popular among Marquette fans.
At Buffalo Wild Wings. By the way, underrated burgers there. I don't get burgers very often.
100%.
100%. It's not Buffalo Wild Burgers, but it's really good. All right, so you're here. I talked to you on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
That's correct.
And now you're here, cousin subbing for old T, who is unavailable today. So that's 2-5. That takes us to noon. What time is the Marquette pregame?
Marquette pregame, we're on there at 5.
You have any other radio gigs in between noon?
Nope.
And 5.
And I've been doing game nights on Friday nights, but we don't have that tonight because ESPN Radio has Big 12 and SEC tournament games. So no game night on ESPN Radio for me tonight.
Well, we're happy to have you, and thank you for donating your time like Mark Neitzel donated his expertise in electricity. Wow, I don't know where this gymnastics meet is. I haven't gotten the directions from Paula, but we are headed down there.
You just start driving south and you figure it out.
She puts it into the Google Maps, and then I just follow whatever it tells me to do.
That's fair.
I think it kind of sums up my life in a weird way.
Whatever works for you, man.
All right. So,
can I ask a question of Gabe since we have him here? And
we're kind of interviewing him, I kind of feel like.
So, there was a hot debate yesterday with the Kyle Brust-Nortman squad. It was Brust and Kyle. Brad was unavailable yesterday, but those guys were here in Madison. They were on remote at Lucky's 1313. It was a great afternoon catching up with them. We were debating the value of the conference tournaments. Because for a team like Wisconsin, if they want to win the Big Ten tournament, they're going to play 4 games in 4 days. And stiff competition. Like even Northwestern wasn't a cakewalk yesterday. UCLA today is tough. And then maybe Michigan State or Oregon tomorrow. And then if they get to the championship, who knows, Purdue or whatever. Is there a ton of value in trying to run the gauntlet 4 games in 4 days, getting into the NCAA tournament, or are you better off like losing Thursday night or Friday afternoon and getting a full week of rest before your NCAA tournament games? Like, what is the actual value of the conference tournament championship?
I think if you're a competitor, you want to win everything that you enter in. So I'm guessing Ben would say, "Hey, we've got this tournament. We want to be Big Ten tournament champions because we play in the Big Ten and we play." I'm guessing that's where Ben came down. I don't know.
That is what he said, yes.
He's such a competitor.
Yeah.
So you do have that competitiveness factor. I understand the other side, but for this Wisconsin team in particular, I think winning as many games as possible is going to give them the best chance at playing here in Milwaukee, which has been a big advantage for them in the past. Because of the way they stumbled down the stretch, losing a couple of games that maybe they feel like they shouldn't have in the regular season, picking up some more wins in the conference tournament is going to give them a better chance at a higher seed and therefore being placed here in Milwaukee. So I think that is the value for this specific Wisconsin team.
I think it's also about how you're playing, right? Like,
Yeah.
You don't feel great about how you were playing. I mean, we saw what Gardo said after the loss to Penn State about how that's not us. We got to get back to being ourselves. And I don't know if Northwestern is enough to feel that way, but I think you string together a couple of games. And I'm not the competitor that Ben Brust is, but if I can get to the semis and play well, I think it's more, for me anyway, how we're playing versus whether or not we win the games, just because I want to feel really good about where we're at if I'm a coach. Obviously, winning would be ideal, but that is a tough turn. Like, if you play in Sunday's championship, which, how often does that affect the bracket, which has probably already been set by the time they tip that off?
That was another thing we were thinking with the Big Ten especially. Like, is that really going to impact anything?
Like, playing in that game, to me anyway, and you're not guaranteed of playing Friday, Sunday then, are you? There's no guarantee that you get that.
No,
you might
there's
get Thursday,
no guarantee of that.
Saturday.
That is correct. But I guess I land here when we're talking about college athletes in particular. And I guess, if Ben's listening, maybe, he can tell me that I'm completely wrong.
Don't invite him.
He had a
to come
big
on the
night
show.
out in Madison last night. I don't know if he's up yet. Might be a little early for Brust.
So maybe I'm way off on this because I played Division III college baseball, so you're not exerting yourself the way you are at high-level Division I basketball. But these are 18 to 22-year-old kids that are in the literal best shapes of their lives. I guess I'm not that worried if they play 3 or 4 games in a row, have a few days off, and then have to play Thursday. Yeah. Like, the recovery time for your body when you're 18 to 22, at least from what I remember from being an 18 to 22-year-old athlete, is pretty good.
Time ago. Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, it is a long time ago at this point, Jason. I'm getting old, man.
So I have via our friends at the NCAA, which they do so many things well.
Sure they do, if you say so.
I have in front of me how now this will only tell us the national champions, so I need someone from the Homer Institute or whatever he's calling it these days, because it was once the Homer and Gabe Institute, but that was like 16 iterations ago of it. I would love to have a study of all of the Big Ten tournament champions and finalists, how they fared in the subsequent NCAA tournament. Right? And we know that there are a bunch of variables there. I'm not a scientist, but it may have nothing to do with reaching the final and playing that Sunday. It might have been a bad matchup for them in the tournament or whatever it might be. But according to the NCAA, let's just go with the last 10 years of how teams did in their conference tournament on their way to the national championship. Okay? In 2015, Duke lost in the ACC semifinals. In 2016, Villanova lost in the Big East finals. In 2017, Carolina lost in the ACC semifinals. In 2018, Villanova won the Big East tournament. In 2019, Virginia lost in the ACC semifinals. Obviously, 2021, Wisconsin won the national championship.
Yeah, I forgot about the simulated national championship.
Hang the banner, baby.
Start a dynasty if they make a run this year.
In 2021, Baylor lost in the Big 12 semifinals. In 2022, Kansas won the Big 12 tournament. In 2023, UConn lost in the Big East semis.
To Marquette.
And last year, Marquette, now you did it to me. Now, last year, UConn won the Big East. So, UConn is a great example. They reached the semis. Then they had a few extra days off. They won the national title. The next year, they won the conference tournament and then went and won the national title. So, I don't know if there's a right answer, but it's a fascinating question. And it's probably, as Matt LaFleur would tell us, every team's different, Jason. That's true.
So
they are.
We have an idea. I feel like I'm playing
a lot
the
of
role
lost in semis there.
I feel like I'm playing the role of Tausch here, trying to improve something that I don't know needs to be improved because today is awesome. With the way college athletics is these days, I think we should award an NIL contribution from the presenting sponsor of the conference tournament to the team that wins it.
So just a lump of cash that they can give to the kids?
Yeah. So in addition to an automatic bid, also, whoever
I'm pretty sure that's still technically illegal. Like for NIL, you're supposed to technically still have to do something for the name, image, and likeness payments.
They won the tournament.
They can take a
That's
picture.
What they did.
Yeah, they can take a picture at midcourt for next year. Yeah.
They can do a Pepsi ad after they. Where are you going? I'm going to drink a Pepsi.
Playing 3 or 4
there you go.
games
There you
in
go.
4 days.
And I guess that would fulfill the obligation of the NIL.
I think there should be a financial component for the conference tournaments as extra incentive for the teams to go win it that are already like St. John's. Their seed isn't going to get worse if they lose today to Marquette. Like, they're going to be what they are.
No, but if they go and win the Big East, I mean, if they're the double champ, they've got a better chance at being a 2 seed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're kind of locked in. Like, I don't think they're going to move. Like, everybody knows what
Jesse
St. John's
Lenardi
has been.
over here.
Yeah, like, St. John's is, they won the Big East. They were really good all year. They could lose today, and they're going to be fine. If they win the whole thing, they're probably going to be right where they were. Like, so what do they want? $100,000. Let's toss it out there.
I mean, that's nothing. That's really nothing in the world of NIL. $100K? Unless we're doing $100K
maybe.
per person. Yeah, 100K ain't going to get you very far in a 15-player basketball team.
And we all agree, these tournaments, first of all, they're vital to the teams that's the only team that gets in from your conference.
Correct.
Like, I'm really happy for Dan in Brothertown and his daughter-in-law, Kayla Carius, who UW Green Bay won the regular season title. We were there for their win over Purdue Fort Wayne at home. And then I remember thinking, as they were all celebrating the regular season title, oh, boy. Now you go to the tournament and you lose, and it doesn't matter that you went 19-1 in the conference because you're going to go to the WNIT if you don't win it. And luckily and fortunately, and kudos to them, they then went and won the conference tournament, beat Purdue Fort Wayne again. But a lot of times, Rob Domofsky's buddy Todd Kowalczyk at Toledo, guys wins the conference all the time, and then somehow they lose in the tournament. I don't think he's ever been to the tournament, the NCAA tournament there. And he's a fantastic coach. But that's the reality. I don't think the big tournaments are going anywhere because the TV money's great. Look at what look at yesterday at Potawatomi. There were tons of people there to watch games that we would argue don't mean a whole heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things.
But this is kind of when everybody starts paying attention, at least from the general public, right? Like people, like me are kind of locked in with the Big East and all the stuff I do with Marquette. But the general public kind of starts paying attention to college basketball in March and use the conference tournaments as kind of a warm-up to the NCAA tournaments next week. And to your point, Jason, the same reason that conference championship games in football, which don't mean as much anymore with the expansion of the college football playoff, like those aren't going anywhere either because it's big-time money for these conferences to put these on and have these, have it on TV. It's a big-time part of their TV deals. So the conference tournaments aren't going anywhere, which I'm glad for because I love these runs, man. Like just being able to sit down and have, these rematches. Like Marquette has a great opportunity tonight to kind of get some of the momentum that they were hoping to get on senior day against St. John's, lose on the last second shot. You get that win over St. John's. Now all of a sudden everybody's feeling good about Marquette versus what happened in the last 6 weeks of the regular season.
I totally agree. I would not try to argue that these games don't mean anything to a lot of teams, but to some, I mean, we can look at the flip side of this too, right? We know Duke is one of the best teams in the country. Yesterday they lost Cooper Flagg to a leg injury, and as John Shire said after the game, I'm not thinking about whether he's going to be available tomorrow. That's not what matters. It's getting him back for the NCAA tournament, and I don't know if they will. It did not sound encouraging initially.
No, it does not.
Those are the types of things that would be on the con, not to be confused with Con Knipple, the con side of the pros and cons list of going out there and trying to win these games. Marquette will try to win today against St. John's. Wisconsin will try to win today against UCLA. I am eager to see. I really want to see Wisconsin playing the way it is capable of playing. This is, and T-Bone points this out in the ESPN Madison YouTube comments, it is the age-old debate, rest versus rust. It is.
Yeah, because that is the other thing. Once you hit this season and you kind of get in that routine of playing, I mean, we see it all the time in basketball where you have that kind of bye and, you go from playing a game on Saturday, a game on Wednesday, but then you have a bye the following Saturday. There is a little bit of rust when you haven't played for a week, so that's the other part of this. Again, if you're in the Big Ten and you're playing 4 games in a row the way Wisconsin might have to if they go to the final, I think they still have enough time as younger athletes to recover before the NCAA tournament starts on Thursday. You're still getting 3 days of rest.
I think I'm going to fall in the play really well and lose in the semifinals crowd. I think that's where I'm willing to. I think that's my comfort zone.
Okay.
And pretend you're really disappointed.
Lose on a buzzer beater in the semis.
Yeah, not like lose because like your best player misses 2 free throws with a chance to win it, because then it's in his head. And like I want you to play really well, and it's one of those, as Tausch likes to say, you tip the cap. They just played a little bit better than us today.
Tight game, really guy banks in a 3.
Right, exactly.
Like exactly what happened to Purdue last year when Wisconsin beat them in the semifinals, and then Purdue made it to the championship game.
Or Tyrese Halliburton chucking in a 3 and getting a foul called on him. To make the game-winning free throw.
About that.
I didn't think he did.
That was a BS foul.
It was
terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, physics are saying the guy's going that way. Like, he can't jump forward if his momentum's taking him to his left. It's not a foul on Giannis.
So glad I brought that up. That was worth it.
But
right
I digress.
There. No, that was good. I enjoyed that. That's one of the great things about you, because you are also a fan. And I want to get to part of our conversation from Jen, Gabe, and Shuey this morning, because I am curious, and this is kind of the overarching question that I was thinking about since I knew Tausch wasn't going to be here to step on any ideas I had. And that is there any sense of frustration for Packers fans of, we don't want guys over 30? Because if I was a fan and having that, what appears to be, with very, very, very few exceptions, essentially a policy. Oh, you have a policy.
A delicate genius has a policy.
Because there's, and look, if we want to term Goody the delicate genius here, there's a lot of people that are going to come at me in the YouTube comments and wherever else and say, shut up, you non-fan. In Goody, we trust. And that's fine. Like, that's great. If you trust him implicitly, that's fine. I don't think, at least in my job, I think part of my job is to ask these types of questions. And maybe you disagree with them, and maybe you say, no, I think it's the best way to go. But I also think there is an increasing number of fans, and I don't think necessarily Devontae was the tipping point, but the fact that there was no call placed to him whatsoever.
That's the issue I got, Jason.
So I want to get into that, and I want to take some calls and texts on it, too, on the Carbless Talk and Text line, 844-770-3776, 844-770-3776. And look, if you want to tell me to buzz off and that you trust Goody and you think it's a good policy, that's okay. That's a fine answer. I just wonder if it's a little too hard and fast, that basically if you're not a kicker, we don't want you if you've celebrated your 30th birthday. And maybe this will all be proven bunk, and they'll trade for Trey Hendrickson. But Cooper Kupp, the fact that we spent time talking about the Cooper Kupp possibility, I'm sitting there going, I don't see that happening, not with this general manager. So we'll talk about that with Gabe Neitzel, who is our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
Mark Tauscher here for Pizza Hut. Well, this time of year, it feels like every day is a big game day, and you need a winning pizza lineup to celebrate. pepperoni, sausage and mushrooms, or ham, pineapple, and bacon? Well, the choice is yours. And right now, you get a large 3-topping original stuffed crust pizza for just $11.99 at Pizza Hut. Available for delivery or carryout, you can create your perfect pizza no matter the game plan for just $11.99. Order now on the Pizza Hut app or online at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
The madness is right around the corner, and that means the time for proving your hoops knowledge is too. It's the ESPN Wisconsin Bracket Challenge, presented by Cousin Subs. Fill out a bracket, earn the most points at the end of the tourney, and get a $1,000 gift card to Cousin Subs. One winning bracket, $1,000 to Cousin Subs. When the teams are all selected, you can fill out your bracket on ESPN.com or the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. It's the ESPN Wisconsin Bracket Challenge, presented by Cousin Subs. They believe in better.
The madness starts at Metro Kia Madison this month. Drive away in a 2025 Kia Sportage with financing as low as 1.9% for 60 months. $17.48 cost per thousand borrowed. Or upgrade to the luxurious Kia K4 with rates as low as 2.9% for 48 months. $22.09 cost per thousand. With 156 new vehicles available, enjoy 2 years of no charge maintenance on new vehicles purchased and 90 days deferred payments with approved credit. Hurry, these offers end March 31st.
Starion Bank redefines local banking in Madison. As a community bank with a commitment to Dane County, experience a banking relationship where your goals are our priority. Enjoy competitive deposit and loan rates and a partnership that thrives on local engagement and support. Starion Bank is more than a full-service financial institution. It's a community pillar dedicated to your prosperity. Visit one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, or Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, offering banking, lending, mortgage, and cash management.
Condon Jewelers, the jeweler on the east side, the jeweler on your side. When you see Diamond Jim, you can count on him to be on your side. Selection beyond compare with on-site repair, so you can wear your jewelry with pride. Condon Jewelers, the jeweler on the east side, the jeweler on your side.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Gabe Neitzel is in as our cousin sub of the day for Old T. Cousin subs, we believe in better. All right, Gabe, where do you stand on this? Because we're already getting calls. I got some great YouTube comments in the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube chat from Roberto I want to get to. But it would certainly appear that if you are 30 years old and older, Goody has little use for you unless you're a kicker. Am I being unfair?
I do not believe. I will throw the caveat out there if you are coming from outside the organization. Because I still think he will make exceptions for players that he has drafted and have been with the team. I think he will eventually make exceptions. Like if Zach Tom continues to play the way he has and they give him a contract extension, I would not be shocked if he got another contract that took him to his, early 30s at some point. So I think
Elton
that would
Jenkins
be an exception
will be
as
the
well.
test case.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
true.
He's 29 right now. Okay, that's fair. So outside 30-year-olds, no thanks. Are you on board, or does that concern you?
I don't think it's super concerning. I think it is a good overall policy to have, but just like everything else, I think you have to make exceptions if there's an exceptional player out there. And the thing that has troubled me about this past week for the Packers is not who they signed in free agency, because I think they addressed needs in areas where this free agent class had players available, cornerback and offensive line. And those were areas where the Packers needed to improve. Places like wide receiver, who I think you're on the same page as me here, the Packers need to have a bona fide number one type guy on this roster. That didn't really exist outside of DK Metcalf, but more importantly, Davante Adams. And for them to not even have any interest, I understand if maybe Goody had a price set and decided, hey, $23 million for a couple of years for a guy, maybe that's just a little too much for me. I understand that. But to not even have a conversation, because they used to have, when Goody originally took over, Jason, it seemed like he went out of his way to let everybody know they were in on just about every conversation. So to not even call Davante, when that's a clear area of need in a weak free agent class, why not make an exception for Davante Adams? Because that's the type of guy that you had previously said, yeah, he's the type of guy that we would potentially make an exception for, because he's a Hall of Famer. And Hall of Famers at that position are going to be more successful, into their 30s than a typical player. So if you're not going to make the exception and not even call and ask when Davante clearly has interest in coming to your team, that's a little disappointing to me.
All right, I want to get to calls. We'll get to those next. But I don't want it to be about Davante, because obviously I have acknowledged my bias there. I do still believe, and I look forward to when Goody speaks to us, because I am very curious whether or not he will acknowledge that he didn't ever pick up the phone. I feel very good about who I talked to about never getting a call from them. I just would be curious what his reasoning is. Because
what's with you and wide receivers? It seems like you've got a really good relationship over maybe just pass catchers in general. So you've got Chewy. Obviously, you stumped
Bill
for Jordy
Schrader.
Nelson. Outside of Bill Schrader, but you love Davante, had a great relationship with Davante. Jordy Nelson, obviously. Randall Cobb tried to even help you break news at one point because you had such a good relationship with him. Antonio Freeman liked you so much that he showed you how to beat press coverage while wearing a jock strap, and that's it in the locker room. It seems like you've got a really good relationship with receivers over the years, Jason.
Yeah, receivers and corners. Charles Woodson, Al Harris. Defensive backs are, Micah Hyde.
Sure.
I assume it's because we have so much in common athletically.
Okay, I could see that.
So look, if it's not Davante, then who? And the problem with Trey Hendrickson is that he also is going to require a large contract and
draft
a
capital.
trade. Right? And the reason why I use Davante as the litmus test for this is because he didn't cost either one of those things. Yes, he got $23 million average over 2 years from the Rams. $26 million of it is guaranteed. You had a dummy year to that contract. He's very affordable. That should not have been a deterrent. And on top of that, he's been damn durable.
That just tells you, Jason, I think that's the good reason to use this for the test case, because Goody's on record saying, hey, that's the type of guy I would make an exception for, and the fact that he didn't even reach out tells me that there's some sort of disqualifying factor that they had no interest in Davante Adams, and given that he has been productive, he still had 1,000 yards last year despite only playing 14 games because of the trade, playing for two different teams, still got over 1,000 yards last year. So he's still productive, doing the things that you think you would be doing. The fact that he's past 30 had to be the disqualifying factor. That's the only thing I can make sense in my head.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying you want a team full of 30-year-olds. You do not want me as your GM. You just don't. Too many veterans. They'd all be breaking down and we'd be playing practice squad guys left and right. But exceptions. That's really what we're asking here, and it doesn't seem like Goody makes those. All right, 844-770-3776. We'll get to your calls next. Want to remind you that it's time to celebrate and save big during Steinhaffel's Happy Go Lucky sale. Get some of Steinhaffel's best deals of the year. Plus, try your luck at getting an extra $100 off with your exclusive Happy Go Lucky scratch-off card. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend, you know. And you'll really be smiling when you use Steinhaffel's special 60-month financing. Steinhaffel's Happy Go Lucky sale is happening now through Monday, so shop in-store or online at steinhaffels.com. Relax. It's Steinhaffel's. We'll get to your calls next on the carbless talk and text line. Liss is more, 844-770-3776 with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day. It's Wilde and Tausch.
We're on the Brewers.
They're really good at identifying talent. They're really good at developing talent.
Because we're on Wisconsin sports.
This is one of the best organizations in Major League Baseball.
100.5 ESPN.
As a bull rider, I prefer to do things single-handedly. That's why I love the UW Credit Union app. Doggy! It lets me check accounts, make transfers and more on the go. And if I need an extra hand, UW Credit Union has convenient local branches. Yippee! So, if you want simple mobile banking, mosey on over to UW Credit Union. They're here for every y'all. Federally insured by NCUA.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love, with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
Mark Tusher here for Chalmers Jewelers. I've been a big fan of Scott, Garrett, and the whole team at Chalmers Jewelers for years now. I go there, my friends go there, and most importantly, my wife loves it whenever I get her something from Chalmers Jewelers. It's my go-to spot for birthdays, anniversaries, and any special occasion. For quality jewelry and a great experience, choose Chalmers Jewelers, the place to go for that perfect gift. Stop at Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
and Madison. Is your computer so slow you can hardly use it? Does it have blue screens, malware, viruses, reboots, hardware crashes? Sound familiar? Computers will have problems, and when they do, you need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day we help home users and businesses keep their computers and networks running smoothly. For solutions to your computer problems, call the pros at 231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
Join the Madison Area Sports Commission live and in person for a Good Morning Sports event featuring Love Madison Volleyball. On March 31st, meet an all-star lineup of Love Madison athletes and hear about the first season of pro volleyball in Madison. Registration donations benefit the MASC Youth Grant to get kids into sports. Register online at visitmadison.com/GMS. This event is sponsored by American Family Insurance and Oak Bank, supported by ESPN Madison, and produced by the Madison Area Sports Commission.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
We're on the Packers.
I just don't feel like Goody hits the home runs that merit holding on to draft picks like they're absolute gold. Because his first-round draft pick isn't gold.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Page out of your favorite book. You sold me lies just by the way you look. Talk me in language that
844-770-3776. That is the Carbless talk and text line. Less is more. Also, quick aside, I'm going to run upstairs. I'm going to go find that is sitting on my desk. I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to put it in an envelope.
Yeah.
Since you're here,
go.
this is a good reminder.
You could just Venmo him.
So, I want to get to these calls.
Oh, boy.
But I actually talked to Gabe's mom about this. They have not, they only used Venmo once, and it was for a donation to some sort of a charity. And so we kind of just, she didn't really know how it worked. I don't think I'm putting too much of your mom's business out in the street. Unless she's changed her Venmo policy. I did not.
Don't think she has a. I mean, this sounds accurate. I have never asked my parents if they have Venmo.
Okay.
Not a conversation that has come up a lot.
The conversation you should have instead is just, hey, dumbass, just send them the money you owe them. That would be the conversation that you should have with me. And I will. I'll make that happen. Because on top of that, I think I have another electrical question for him.
Oh, boy.
844-770-30.
Got to pay the first one before you get this next one.
Yeah, I was going
to answer.
No doubt, right? Like, hey, you can expect payment for that in 2027. 844-770-3776. Do your parents listen to the show? Like when you're you're on the radio so much. Like, do you think Mark/Keith, which for those who don't know that story, comes up to do this task, and for some reason I have him in my phone as Mark Neitzel. I know his name is Mark, and he gets out of his car and I extend my hand and say, Keith? I don't know why that happened either. I think I'm just getting old. It's not pretty.
That happens. Happens to us all, Jason.
Anyway, I'm not going to call Dustin Keith in Waukesha. He is our first caller. Dustin, good morning. Welcome to Wilde and Tausch with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. How about you?
We're good. Are you cool with the nobody over 30 policy from outside, or are you not?
I'm bummed. I'm really bummed. I wanted Devontae. I mean, you're talking about, like you're saying, a Hall of Fame player who already knows Green Bay, knows the schematics, knows what grocery store he goes to. It would have been a wonderful homecoming, and we missed that opportunity, and so I'm bummed. You know, I'm in Goody We Trust camp, okay? I have been with that a lot of the way, but this is one of those exceptions when you can bring back a beloved player who has gone to these couple other teams and have not had success and come back to Green Bay, finish out your career, ride off into the sunset, get a ring with the team you came with, and, you know, we missed that. That's how I feel, guys. I'm bummed. That's what it is.
It would be a great story.
It would be, but I mean, I think we also have to be open to the possibility that, again, the disappointing thing to me is that the Packers showed no interest. So now I question, okay, how much interest do you actually have at improving that position? Because there's a very high possibility that Goody did have interest, and Devontae goes to the Rams anyway. Looks at the way that the Rams played the Eagles and goes, man, I think that they're really close. Playing with Matthew Stafford. There were reports out there about his preference of being on the West Coast. So I think there's still a high possibility that he ends up with the Rams anyway. But not wanting to improve that position has me questioning, because we all saw that position last year and it wasn't good enough. You want to win a championship, you want to win a Super Bowl, that position has to improve. And I'm curious at how serious Goody believes it needs to be improved.
Yeah. Great call, Dustin. We appreciate you. Thanks. On that same point, I'm not saying that he was a sign at all costs guy. And I can tell you this. He was very much, I wrote that he was open to signing or returning to Green Bay. Do I know for certain that it would have been his first choice? If they offered him $6 million a year less, I think he probably takes what the Rams offer, right? I'm not saying that all it would have taken was the Packers to be interested. It still would have had been a competitive offer. But look, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that he was advocating for this. Turn on what he said to Kay Adams on her show. Go back to his Instagram, and there's no other reason to post photos of your green and gold shoes and your customized floor mats than to say, hey, Goody, I'm over here. Come on, buddy. Right? I mean, yeah. There's enough breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel, to follow that there was at least a desire to be considered to return here.
Is it possible that Davante and his representatives reached out to Goody, and Goody said no still? Do you think that possibility exists?
I can't confirm or deny that. That is not one of the questions I asked. That's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know. They could have back-channeled that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, let's not lose sight of the fact that 3 players on your roster, and 3 pretty prominent players, your starting quarterback, your starting running back, and your CB1, self-proclaimed though he may be, of Keyshawn Nixon, were all advocating for this. Mm-hmm. All of them. And so there's a lot there, but I don't want it to be solely a referendum on him. Because, again, we talked this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, and now Diana Rossini reporting that it appears the 2 teams that want Cooper Kupp the most are Seattle and Dallas. But I saw a report yesterday that there were up to 12 teams that had expressed an interest. I wonder if the Packers are even one of those 12. And if you power rank their level of interest, if they'd be 12.
I can't imagine them having interest in Cooper Kupp. If they didn't have any interest in Davante Adams, Cooper Kupp hasn't been healthy for the last 3 seasons.
Right.
Like
and
the most games he's played is 12.
Jair, right?
Yes. He's been productive in the games in which he's played, but this is the
somebody
exact,
else I know.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp is the exact, to me, prototype of Goody saying, yeah, this is why I try to stay away from guys who are 30+. Right. Because, yeah, he's a good player, had a great year in 2021, but now that he got to 29, 30, 31, hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I understand Goody having hesitation for that guy. But a guy, again, I know you don't want it to keep coming back to Davante, but I think that's where it comes back to, because if you're not going to make the exception there, you're not going to make the exception anywhere, because Davante has been healthy, has been productive into his 30s, and if you're not making the exception there, my guess is you're not going to make the exception anywhere, which is why I think they will not be in on the Trey Hendrickson sweepstakes.
Yeah. Certainly not at the current price point that the Bengals are asking, and perhaps not at
Well, that has
all.
to come down. Like, same thing, like DK Metcalf. Oh, we want a first-round pick. Oh, well, you didn't get a first-round pick for him. And I think it's the same thing for Trey Hendrickson. We want a first-round pick. Cool. Nobody's going to pay that, so you're going to have to trade him at a lower price for whenever you actually trade him.
One more thing before we get to another call, because I see a comment in the ESPN Madison YouTube chat from Paul. How does Davante improve the team? He certainly doesn't stretch the field. What would the Packers offense do? Throw him the ball 150 times and take the running game out of priority? All right, Paul, look, I don't want to be a jerk here, but if you watched him play this year, he still can play. He is better than where Dontavion Wicks is right now. He is better than where Romeo Doubs is right now. You don't sign him to have him run 4-3 down the field. That is not who he has really ever been. But he draws all kinds of attention to make life better for Tucker Kraft and for Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks. There's a lot, and he can still play. So, Gabe, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to Paul.
No, I 100% agree with everything you said, Jason. And I understand DK Metcalf can stretch the field. Like, he's that perfect replacement for Christian Watson in terms of, hey, that's what he can do. And I think he can do a few more things than Christian, and I hope that's what Christian Watson can eventually become. I mean, not the physical specimen that DK Metcalf, because who is, but he can stretch the field. But really, that's all DK can do in terms of adding another dimension to this offense. Right now, on this roster, there is no healthy option that defenses go, oh, we got to make sure we're paying attention to this guy. We got to make sure we know where this guy is at all times, and we may have to change our coverage. When teams play the Packers right now, it's, hey, we're going to line up. If it's cover 3, we're going to play cover 3. Don't have to worry about, hey, what's this guy doing over here? If it's cover 2, it's cover 2. With Davante Adams, you cannot leave that dude on an island because he's going to get open all the time. Still probably going to get open if you generate more. I mean, we've seen it. How many times did we see it where it's 3rd and 6? Everybody in the building knows it's going to Davante, and somehow he gets open and Aaron Rodgers hit him. That's what he brings to the Packers. And then while that other attention's being diverted to Davante, now you've got one-on-one matchups for Wicks, for Reed, for Kraft, because of the attention that Davante Adams still does command to this day. So that is what he would have brought to the Green Bay Packers. And instead, there's nobody still out there that's going to demand that type of attention. There's nobody out there that's going to take pressure off the receivers that you already have. And that's why I was all in on Davante, is because he could have done those things to help develop the young talent you still have and still be a huge contributor to the offense.
Let's get to another call. Let's talk to Brian in Maguanago. Brian, good morning. How you doing today?
Good morning. Good. Hey, Paul's text was brutal because if you watched last year, do you know how many drop passes we had from our young wide receivers? Davante is a reliable set of hands. And if you think about possession and maintaining possession, how many passes for 4 or 5 yards did our guys miss that Davante, you chuck the ball, catch that 4 or 5 yard pass and retain possession? So we're not going 3 and out. We're not stalling drives. We're not having red zone issues where we can't put the ball in the end zone because our guys can't catch passes. So that call was that text was absolutely brutal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's my gripe there. But I think we're starting to see malpractice from Goody for a couple of reasons. If you look at Ron Wolf and Ted Thompson within the first 8 years, both got to a Super Bowl, both won a Super Bowl. And I think Tauscher said it a couple of times. The standard is the standard, and we got to look at accountability. And we're not getting over the hump, and we're not changing strategies or not changing our approach to be able to get over the hump. So if we're going to be stubborn, dig our heels in, and we're not going to make those one-off or exceptions that we think can put us over the top because we're stubborn, that's a sign of an ego and bad leadership, because what we're doing isn't working and not getting us to where we need to go. And then the thing that threw it over the edge for me, I was super frustrated with the Jordan Morgan draft, because I think everybody in the state of Wisconsin thought we were going Cooper DeJean when we saw him on the board and he was available at that pick. And then you go see the guy ball out this year. He's one of the best in the league. He gets a pick 6 in the Super Bowl, and you're like looking at that going, come on, we got a guy who I don't even know if you'll ever see the light of day in green and gold, and he's certainly not going to be anywhere near the level of Cooper DeJean. And you put all these things together, and it's just a lot of warning signs to me that and you guys pointed it out, we didn't even give Davante a call to see what he was asking for, what he wanted to come back. All these things add up, and it's huge warning signs going off that Goody might be in over his head.
All right,
Brian,
I got a
thanks for the
couple of
call.
things here.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Appreciate the call. Couple of things off of that. First of all,
I'm going to say he's not in the In Goody We Trust crowd.
It does not seem like it. I'm not ready to write off Jordan Morgan. I am not in that camp. I am not going to say that Cooper DeJean is the greatest thing since sliced bread. The dude didn't have an interception till the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was a sweet play in the Super Bowl. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that was cool, and he played great all year. But Eric Stokes also played really well his rookie year, and we know how that ended for him in Green Bay. So I'm not going to say Cooper DeJean's going to be just, an all-pro and he's going to go on and have this Hall of Fame type career for Philadelphia. He had a great rookie year, but I'm not writing off Jordan Morgan because he got hurt, and clearly he still factors into their plans. You need to have 6 to 7 offensive linemen you trust, and we already know that they trust Jordan Morgan because he was part of the rotation last year before he was injured. The other thing, I have a question for you off of this, because I've seen a couple of texts on the Carbless Talking text line, Jason, and we've fielded calls on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy about this as well. because it seems like Goody has this reputation of having this ego. And look, in order to be a general manager in the NFL, in order to have any high position in the NFL, you're going to have some sort of ego, right? That's just part of the problem. But I feel like this one texter I have here, Jaws and MKE, saying Goody suffers from smartest guy in the room syndrome. Has he ever publicly admitted to a mistake or a miss? I don't know if he's done those things, but I've never gotten the impression that Goody is just this egomaniac and is just doing all of this to feed his own ego. Like, I've never gotten that impression, but certainly there are some fans out there that do have that impression. I'm curious what your impression is.
Yeah, so I don't know what Goody the GM is in that kind of personality sketch. I know who he was when he and I were both coming up as young guys, right? I mean, we're roughly the same age. He was coming up through the scouting department. I was coming up as a beat writer. I mean, he and I have known each other for a really long time. I like him. I do agree, though. And look, I married someone who doesn't admit that they're wrong. So that is not a disqualifier for me. Okay?
Fair.
Fortunately, she doesn't listen to the show, but she knows that's 100% true. I personally, it is one, I don't like being condescended to, and I don't like it when people can't admit when they're wrong. Because admitting you were wrong is such an easy thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. It's so easy, and I don't understand people that are incapable of it, and that includes Paula. Like, I love her dearly. She's the best thing to ever happen to me. But, like, it's not in her nature. Like, she's going to fight tooth and nail to not say, yeah, that was me. That was my fault. I screwed that up. Because if you say that, it's dead, right? Like, all of the times that we joke on this show about me and Jordy Nelson, if he would have just said, when I sat down with him at the scouting combine the year after Jordy spent it in Oakland, and said, you know what? You were right. He would have been fine with Devontae surpassing him. We should have kept him. All he wanted to do was play one more year here. And I would have saved, he'd have been better than Jimmy Graham, who caught 2 touchdowns that first year with the Packers, and then exploded for 3 touchdowns the following year. Like, it would be a dead issue. It's not that hard. And to Brian's point, I don't know about, or to Jaws's point, and I love the fact that now we have access to both Carbless Talk and text lines, by the way. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's smartest guy in the room syndrome, but I definitely think it's I'm not going to admit I was wrong syndrome.
But publicly, I agree. I don't think he's ever admitted publicly to a mistake or a miss, but I think if you look at his actions, I mean, they went out and they signed an offensive lineman. Isn't that saying,
hey, that's not admitting you're wrong. That's trying to fix your mistake.
Sure.
Right? Because you look at the 2020 and 21 drafts right now, and he could easily stand at the podium and say, yeah, I didn't do a good enough job in those drafts.
Who had Isaiah McDuffie? Isaiah McDuffie is the one that survived, right? Yep. Isaiah, along with Jordan Love from those 2 draft classes, are the ones that are still around.
That's it. That's the list. All right, I want to get to more of your text. We haven't gotten to the text portion. I also have a tweet from Rob Vogel I want to get to, and more comments from the YouTube channels as well. 844-770-3776 is the Carbless Talk and text line. Lists is more. Keep those thoughts coming. We'll get to more of them next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Brewers baseball is in the air.
It's back, and it is up, and it is gone. A walk-off homer for Vinny Capra.
Spring back into the baseball season on 100.5 ESPN, Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Mark Tauscher here, and it's another Feelgood Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Holman Lindsay Paints. Well, when you're ready to get started on your next paint project at home, I recommend you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Holman Lindsay to get the job done right. To get connected with the perfect pro painter for what your project calls for, just stop into any Madison area Holman Lindsay location and ask. The team at Holman Lindsay will help find the best pro for the job. From winter snowstorms to the heat of July and everything in between, Holman Lindsay is the one paint you can trust to withstand the challenges of Wisconsin's weather year-round. That's what makes it Wisconsin's best paint. Holman Lindsay, great paint, great people, and check them out at holmanlindsay.com. And stick around for Feelgood Friday coming up to close out today's show, painted by Holman Lindsay Paints.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute brought to you by your Badgerland Chevy dealers, proud supporters of Badger Athletics. Go to BadgerlandChevy.com. Best trio on the ice. Wisconsin women's hockey guaranteed to have the nation's top player this season. 3 Badgers named finalists for the Patty Kazmaier Award: Layla Edwards, Caroline Harvey, and Casey O'Brien. Just the second time ever a program has produced all 3 finalists. Wisconsin soon to be tied with Harvard for the most Kazmaier Award recipients. Winner announced Saturday, March 22nd. Hopefully the same weekend the Badgers will be chasing after their 8th national title. Wisconsin faces either Boston University or Clarkson Saturday at LeBron Arena. Winner advances to the Frozen Four in Minneapolis.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContests.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
With the next pick in the big draft, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Dane County selects you. As we count down to the draft in Green Bay, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is also counting on you to help meet the growing demand of mentorship in our community. Become a role model, a motivator, a supporter, a positive influence. Empower the young people in our community to create a brighter future for all. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County presents the Big Draft in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change. Learn how to get involved at bbbsmadison.org.
Get in the game this March at Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison, where free throw fortunes can be very rewarding. On Saturday afternoon, March 29th, 18 winners will spin the wheel to secure 2 or 3 prize pucks. Each winner drops those pucks down the big board to determine their total prize of up to $3,000. Then at 4 o'clock, 1 grand prize winner will take home up to $30,000. It's a huge day of prizes, so don't miss your shot at Free Throw Fortunes. Big fun is always a slam dunk at
Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
When you're in the right place at the right time, things get done. The important things, like knowing what you need and how it all works. Talking truck. Fixing it right the first time. At Zimbrick Chevrolet, our people get it done right and now. That's how you know you're in the right place at the right time. And you'll never overpay at Zimbrick Chevrolet.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
He's got a Chevrolet that don't always run and the radio never turns down. He's got a pedigree that's no good for nothing, no commas in his bank account. But there's a girl at the hole in the wall where it plays. Don't take her eyes off the stage, she loves his southern drawl from north of
I gotta say, I love reverse cam. So I got to see Jesse meandering off and then coming back barely before. There are times where I don't get back and the music's been played for a little while, frankly.
So anytime you hear it a little bit extra, now you know where Jason is?
You know, I went to the bathroom or something. But Jesse was dealing with a printer issue, so he comes meandering back. The segment's getting ready to start. But also, Alex Gravatt is standing in the background. He looks like he's posing for like a photo shoot as a jeans model. He's like leaning on his desk. He's got his hand on his hip. He's got the long flowing locks. Looking good. There he is right there on the reverse cam. All right, I want to get to a bunch of texts. I do want to say one thing, though, and then we'll do the text at the top of the 10 here. And, Gabe, tell me if you agree or disagree. I don't want people thinking that I'm a Goody hater or that I don't think he is a good GM. I do believe he is a good GM. I also believe that his policy, that the delicate genius doesn't want 30-something players on his roster is a sound philosophy. I think it is the right approach. The issue I have is having three or four, as Tausch might use the word, sprinklers that are 30 and over on your team does not mean that you suddenly are an old team. And if there is a critique that I have, beyond the, like Paula, not being able to admit when he's wrong, the other one is that you don't have to have a team full of 30-somethings. But there are a handful of them that are the exceptions. And you don't want a team full of exceptions. But I don't think it's unreasonable to have the opinion that you just got to have a little bit more leeway in that department. And maybe, Gabe, that is the urgency that you are expecting from everyone else in the building. Maybe you need to have a little bit of that by going down that road.
I completely agree with you, Jason, because I think Goody is a good GM. But that doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that he does or every policy that he has. And if this is one of the things that he is going to avoid when situations arise, yeah, that's going to be frustrating. If there is a player out there that can help your team in the immediate... And again, the thing about Davante is it just would have been so perfect. Because I know that Matt LaFleur wasn't a big fan of this getting out, but the fact that, he compared his footwork when he was a rookie to Davante Adams. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, man, this guy's got great footwork, and he was very careful about throwing Davante's name out there, but he did, and it still got out. And I know it's something that you also said, man, it's kind of reminds me of Davante. Well, guess what Davante had in his second year as well, Jason? Drop issues. Mm-hmm. You're telling me that bringing in Davante Adams couldn't help out? Hey, when I was going through this as a young player, here's what I did to help overcome it. And that way I was still able to be this great route runner. I was catching balls, and then I just absolutely exploded. You're telling me that couldn't help out Dontavian Wicks as he continues to grow because he needs to be an important player for you? Like, this just seemed to be the perfect way for them to kind of break that. Again, don't want to do it all the time, but every once in a while you can break that rule. And if you're not going to break it for Davante, that means you're probably never going to break it, which is probably not the right way to go. Because you look at all these other teams that go to Super Bowls. It's not the youngest team in the league. It's not. Now, it's not the oldest team in the league either.
Right.
So you need to supplement the youth with the youth and that talent level that you have with some experience to help balance that out a little bit.
Preach, my friend. Preach. We'll get to your texts. If you want to call, you can still do that as well. 844-770-3776. Jesse will cover the Carbless Talk and Text Line Madison edition. Gabe, every time I'm in the Gruber offices, One Call, That's All Studios, you may notice that I'm more distracted than normal. It's also because in that seat you have access to the text line, the Carbless Talk and Text Line, the Milwaukee edition. So we will get to your texts. We'll get to your calls. We'll kick off the 10 o'clock hour with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day in 2 minutes. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
Hi, this is former Badger Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN WTLX Monona, Madison. Good Karma Brands radio station.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson. Sports Center brought to you by Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison for generations. Check them out, 220 State Street, and online at goodmansjewelers.com. The Milwaukee Bucks winners over Luka Doncic and the Los Angeles Lakers last night, 126-106. The final score, Giannis leading the way with 24 points for the Bucks in the victory, despite 45 points and 11 rebounds for Luka and the Lakers. The Bucks now 37-28 on the season. Chance for revenge after losing at the buzzer to Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers earlier this week. Bucks-Pacers at Fiserv Forum Saturday night. Tip time 7 o'clock. Pregame coverage starts at 6:30 here on Madison's home of the Bucks. 100.5 ESPN. But today belongs to college basketball. Wisconsin, UCLA in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinals. 1:30 tip in Indianapolis this afternoon. The Badgers listed as 1.5-point favorites according to ESPN Bet. Marquette, St. John's, 5:30 tip at Madison Square Garden. Golden Eagles are 4-point underdogs to the number 1 seed Johnnies. Listen to that on our sister station, 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, with Homer on the call.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
The 10 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch with Gabe Neitzel in as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. How's this going for you so far? Like, you're always driving you're driving the bus when you're doing your various shows. What's it like to ride shotgun? And am I annoying you with my talking over you and interrupting the way Tausch does to me?
No. First of all, not even a little bit. Not annoying at all. This is great because you just get to kind of sit back and react. I mean, I can have takes. I can have takes on anything. Throw anything my way. I'll tell you what I think. I got no problem with that. This is great.
Nice.
I'm having a good time.
Nice. Perfect. All right. Well, let's throw some texts at you and get your thoughts on some of those. Jesse, what do you have on the Madison portion of the carbless talk and text line?
I got our camera screwed up here. I'll fix this for the next one. But in the meantime, Stephen Lincoln texts in, I think Devontae was headed to the Rams as soon as the Rams said Cooper Kupp was gone. Goody got ripped for lowballing Jordy Nelson. We just talked about that. My perception from Stephen Lincoln is Goody knew the price Devontae was likely getting and just passed. I'm in favor of kicking the tires on Cooper Kupp at a reasonable price. Half of what Devontae got? Love the show. Stephen Lincoln.
All right, so first of all, very fair to say that Goody thought, well, he's going to get more than I'm willing to pay for him, and maybe that's part of his reasoning. I don't have a problem with that reasoning. I can tell you that he was not dead set on just going to the Rams the moment that Cooper Kupp got the news that he was being released and Devontae knew that he was being released. I can tell you that he had an open mind about his options. Now, might he have wound up in L.A. anyway? Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. Especially when you think about, pairing him with Puka Nacua and where the Rams are at and everything else that they have to sell, and the idea that it's it's in California, it's on the West Coast, but his mind was not made up. That's all I can say. It was not L.A. or bust for him, for sure. But the point about maybe Goody knew it was going to be too rich for his blood. Maybe that's true. I don't think that. I just don't believe that's it, though. Because don't you still make the call just in case?
Yeah,
just in case he doesn't get that money?
Yeah. I think reaching out wouldn't have been a bad thing, but I think he made up his mind based off of something else. And, I mean, maybe he was assuming that he's getting too much money. But again, in a post-Luka Doncic got traded world, and I understand that's a different sport. But once Luka gets traded, anything is possible. You just make calls. All right? You make calls just to double check and make sure. All right? That's all I'm asking. You double check and make sure because you never know what the other person might say on the other end of the line. Sometimes you end up with Luka Doncic. Sometimes you end up with a no. But at least go and get the no before you just start making assumptions over what somebody is going to make. I have a text here on the Carblers Talking text line on the Milwaukee side of things from Todd saying, good grief. What is the statute of limitations on whining about the Packers not signing a 32-year-old receiver for $23 million per year? pre-free agency, all ESPN was on a receiver who could stretch the field. FYI, that's not Adams. In fairness, Todd, I believe we were all also in on Davante Adams, and even though he doesn't, we just covered this, even though he doesn't stretch the field the way that a DK Metcalf does, he still draws attention from the defense, which can help the other receivers as well. So you don't have to just be a stretch the field type of guy to put stress on the other team's defense.
Yeah. Todd. Here's what I would say. I understand we're using Davante as the example. If you prefer, let's make Trey Hendrickson a free agent.
Okay.
Okay? If you're going to characterize what we're doing as whining, then let's make Trey let's use a different player that is 30 years old, that we don't have any connection to. He's not a former Packer. I don't want this to be about Davante. Davante is just the prime example. Use Cooper Kupp if you want for when he doesn't get signed by the Packers. But Cooper Kupp has been injured. The reason why we're using Davante is not because, we all want Davante here. That ship has sailed. But the question is an overarching question about 30-something players. And if you're not interested in Davante, as Gabe just said, then I'm not sure you're interested in anybody who celebrated their 30th birthday other than Brandon McManus.
Okay, so if we use the Trey Hendrickson example, would Goody actually be more interested if he was indeed a free agent? Because I think part of the Hendrickson problem is giving up the draft compensation plus spending the money. And I feel like Goody would be okay spending the money, but maybe I'm wrong because he is older, plus spending the draft pick. Because, again, on those guys, he has said, you have to be right. And even though Hendrickson has led the league in sacks the last 2 years and has been really good, I don't know if you would be 100% right. Like, the only guy I would have felt really comfortable being 100% right on of all the guys we talked about this offseason would have been Myles Garrett, who was never actually made available despite asking for a trade.
Right.
And as good as Hendrickson has been, I don't think that you would say with 100% certainty, yeah, this guy is still going to be really good. It's very possible that the last 2 years he played are the best 2 years he has in his career.
Yeah. And look, I keep bringing up this story, and if you're not a subscriber to The Athletic, I think you can still do gift stories. So I think I might post this from the Wilde and Tausch account. There's a really good piece by Paul Daner, who covers the Bengals, discussing the rarity that it is for a 30-plus pass rusher to be still super productive. And the exception to this point has been Khalil Mack. And is Trey Hendrickson going to be the next exception? I don't know. But I think you can make the argument, and I think Goody might make it with you, Gabe, that you just saw his two best seasons. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Khalil Mack had, 6 sacks last season? I think he had 40-some pressures, which is still a pretty big number, by the way, even if he didn't have the sack numbers. So maybe he is like the new Julius Peppers, who he's just ageless.
And what my hope around Hendrickson would be that his game isn't all predicated on speed and bend.
Right.
And because it's more strength built, that he could age a little bit better into 30 the way somebody like, just using a Packers example, Clay Matthews. And Clay had plenty of strength, but he was built on speed and being able to have that bend and get around the edge. And I think that maybe Hendrickson could age a little bit better because he's more of a strength type of bully in his pass rush.
All right, I can see we're getting some more calls, so keep those coming. 844-770-3776, 844-770-3776. We will get to more of your calls and your texts as we have this conversation about 30-something players, not Davante Adams specifically. And if you have someone else that moved teams in free agency that you would like to have seen the Packers go after age 30, bring them up. We're open to that too, but otherwise we'll just continue whining about Davante Adams. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Mark Tauscher here for one of my favorite places, Pizza Hut. From settling in at the opening tip to an extra slice during the 7th inning stretch, make the delicious options from Pizza Hut the perfect addition to any game day this time of year. Having the whole crew over to your place for the night, or getting home just in time on your own to see your team in action. Well, either way, Pizza Hut has you covered. Order the original stuffed crust pizza, the OG, the GOAT, the one and only. Others try to copy, but none are like Pizza Hut. Take advantage of this championship deal right now at Pizza Hut. You can get a large 3-topping stuffed crust pizza for just $11.99. Well, you know I've loved Pizza Hut going back to the days when I was a kid participating in their legendary Book It program. It was great then, and it's great making new memories with my family now. Hurry in or order online today at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
All day, every day, the Carbless Talk and Text line is open for you. 844-770-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text line. This is more.
The 25th Annual Madison St. Patrick's Day Parade is taking place on Sunday, March 16th at 1:30 around the Capitol Square. Join in for an afternoon of music, dancing, and family-friendly fun featuring 2 Grand Marshals this year, Amber Noggle and Brandon Taylor. Don't forget incredible acts like the Kissers, Bucky Badger, the UW Marching Band, and Madison Bagpipers. Donations make it possible. Huge thanks to our sponsors, J.P. Cullen and J&K Security. Save the date, spread the word, and be part of Madison St. Patrick Day Parade.
Hello, I'm John Hayes, the owner of Goodman's Jewelers. It's been my pleasure to serve this community from this incredible store for over 4 decades. We stand upon high standards and classic traditions, pillars like honesty and integrity. Stop into Goodman's Jewelers, the longest-standing full-service jewelry store in the heart of Madison at 220 State Street. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933.
The best is at Goodman's.
Outside In. That's what we call our Outdoor Living Unlimited showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road. All the cool stuff you want outside in your yard displayed inside. Patios, decks, pavers, and an automated pergola, fire pit, outdoor kitchen, a putting green, and in-ground pool. Even a converting 3-season room that's either outside or inside. We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. Your outdoor living potential awaits you at our Outside In showroom, 2018 South Stoughton Road. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
We're on the Bucks
He's one of those guys that can absolutely dominate. He can activate that MVP mode.
because we're on Wisconsin sports.
And you know when Giannis is right, he can carry his team across the finish line.
Madison's home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN.
The calls continue, 844-770-3776. And we'll get to your texts as well. Let's go out to Tosa and talk to Jason, whose parents chose a great name. Jason, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jacob. I mean, Jason.
Well done. Well played. Well played. Yes.
All right. So, Jason, I've called you recently about the wide receiver position.
You've been on a let me just say you've been on a really good run lately.
I mean, and there's been a week's developments. I called you last Friday on the way to work, and I look at the Packers last year. They finished 0-6 against Philly, Detroit, and Minnesota. And I'm not going to rehash the players on those teams, but the Rams went further in the playoffs than the Packers. They certainly improved going from Cooper Kupp, who's past his prime, to Devontae, who's older but still better. Washington went further in the playoffs. They already had Terry McLaurin. They added Deebo Samuel. The Buccaneers went as far in the playoffs. They re-signed Chris Godwin. They still have Mike Evans. I look at the NFC. Dallas has a better wide receiver room. The Giants have a better wide receiver room, given their rookie sensation last year. Seattle has a better room. Arizona, the Bears. I mean, is there a team, considering that Christian Watson's not going to play until likely November, and a speed player like that, it takes a year to come back. We all know that. This is the worst wide receiver room possibly in the NFC. I don't understand what the thought process here is, whether it's an over 30 wide receiver or under. And we're just going to, and I was told when they didn't draft a wide receiver when Aaron Rodgers was winning his MVPs under Goody, a rookie wide receiver never does anything anyways. What is the plan? That room is, I mean, I know everyone loves Tavian Wicks. He's a fifth-round pick with below-average hands at this point. Romeo Doubs is a mediocre. He's a decent wide receiver at his peak. He also quit on the team last year and has concussion issues. And Jaden Reed, I like him as a slot receiver. I think the secret's kind of out that if you're going to play man-to-man, you can take him out. He needs help to get open. The wide receiver room is a disaster. It's kind of been a disaster, Jason, for the now going on 8 years that Goody's been in charge. I don't know what his thought process is. I thought it was he didn't like Aaron Rodgers and was going to add talent. I can't imagine he doesn't like Jordan Love, his own draft pick. But that wide receiver group, I mean, tell me I'm wrong. I'll hang up and you tell me where the Packers are better than, Philly, Detroit, Minnesota. It's scary, the gap.
Yeah.
The Rams,
you're not wrong. And thanks for the call, Joshua. I'm trying to figure out a J word to go there. Jeffrey with a G. I always wanted to be a Jeffrey with a G. No, Jason, Gabe, I think Jason brings up fair points. Now, what I would say as the counter to him is I think they're going to be a tight end driven offense. I think that's what's going to happen. I do. And they love Tucker Kraft. They love everything about him. I think they believe, if we're going to say what we just said, and I have a hard time pushing back other than I believe in the potential still of Jaden Reed and the potential still of Dontavion Wicks. But if we're going to push back on those guys, then you're going to have to push back when I say the next thing, which is I still believe that Luke Musgrave can be a good player.
And he was for however half a season, 3/4 of a season. His biggest issue was staying on his own 2 feet after he caught the football. But how many times during his rookie season did we see him? And he was the only player on the screen, Jason. He had the most yards of separation. I think it was the Cowboys playoff game where he caught a pass after he had come back from the lacerated kidney, where you're going, and then the ankle slows him down, and he's very much a speed guy. But you put those two together, and you become kind of this 2 tight end offense. Yes, the wide receivers are still important, but if you run your offense through the tight ends, it becomes less important. I guess I would push back on Jason's point, not yours, but the caller's point, of it's been a disaster for the last 8 years. It was fine when Devontae was there. And I will say that I was completely okay with what their plan was a year ago. After seeing the way things had developed in 2023, hey, we've got 4 guys we like. Let's see if one of these guys develops. Nobody did. And then you now have to try to do something to address that situation, to address that position, especially with no Christian Watson. But also part of the problem was this free agent wide receiver class stunk. Wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
And for the prices that guys went, apparently Goody, I still stand by, I believe Goody's going to take a wide receiver in one of the first 3 rounds. First 2 days, the Packers are walking away with a wide receiver. And if they don't, I will be shocked because they weren't able to get one in free agency.
And the disaster really struck in 2022 when you trade away Devontae on St. Patrick's Day / Sidney Wilde's birthday while I'm at a soccer game indoors, and suddenly now I'm writing a story on my phone about them trading him. Because then your number 1 wide receiver becomes Allen Lazard. Mm-hmm. And Matt LaFleur and I both really like Allen Lazard. The Goon as a term of affection, love it. You know what I don't love him as? Your number one wide receiver. That was a disaster. That look, you could criticize Rodgers all you want for how he played that year. You can make excuses or not if you choose to about the guy breaking his thumb. It's one of my pet peeves. Brett Favre plays with a broken thumb. He's the ultimate Iron Man. Rodgers plays with a broken thumb, and he's really inaccurate. What the hell's wrong with him? But that season was sunk. It was, for being honest. And they still almost made the playoffs, by the way. And if they'd have won at home against the Lions, who had nothing to play for on the last day of the season, they would have still made the playoffs in spite of having Allen Lazard as their number 1 wide receiver. So that's a disaster.
Yes.
You could argue, though, that Davante Adams prevented it from being a disaster solely by being the best wide receiver in football. Because you can look at Goody's first draft, and when J'Mon Moore, I always think fondly of the J'Mon Moore era in Green Bay.
All 2 years?
Yeah. J'Mon Moore, MVS, EQ, Amari Rodgers. I mean, the track record on wide receivers going into Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks, not great, Bob / Goody, in fairness.
Ryan asks this question on the Carbless Talk at text line.
God, I love having access to that text line.
Does Goody survive as GM if the Packers don't make the playoffs? In my opinion, Minnesota, Detroit, and Chicago have passed Green Bay.
I don't think he's in danger of losing his job if they don't make the playoffs this year.
The seat becomes hot if they miss the playoffs.
That I agree
Then the
with.
pressure is on in 2026. But I don't think. I mean, the only way, in my opinion, the only way they win like 3 or 4 games is if they have massive injuries. And that would provide the excuse of, okay, you only had 3 or 4 wins. Well, it's because of all these injuries. So Goody wouldn't be on that hot seat. And unless they're completely healthy and only win 4 games, that would be the only way Goody would be anywhere near a hot seat at the end of the season to me.
Which we agree is not happening.
Correct. And oh, by the way, I don't see him like, if anything, I think the Packers have passed Minnesota. Like, Minnesota moved on from a quarterback. Granted, it was a career year, and maybe it was the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
But do we think that J.J. McCarthy, in his first year as an NFL starter, coming off of a major injury that required a couple of surgeries, is going to throw for 4,000 yards with 35 touchdowns and 12 picks?
No, but Aaron Rodgers might. Hey!
Oh, snap.
We'll have to. We'll wait and see on that one. All right.
I mean, he's too busy. He's too busy walking around a beach with a blanket on him, Jason.
Did I miss that? Was that was
you haven't seen those pictures?
Wow.
You haven't seen those pictures?
I don't really, unless I'm corresponding with him. I haven't been on Insta. I haven't been checking things out. Where is he walking around with his blanket like Bodie in Point Break?
I mean, presumably, I assumed it was behind his house in Malibu. I mean, I guess I don't know that house is on the beach. I just assumed if it's a $32 million house, it's on the beach.
I think it.
I guess that was.
I think it is.
That was a leap that I made.
I think it is, and I think last time I corresponded with him about that, it had gotten a lot of wind damage, but it not started on fire during those fires. But that's a hat on backwards.
Yeah. So clearly Colin Cowherd doesn't think he's a leader, so, take that as you will.
I don't like the hat
backwards
when it's a snapback. Where is your policy on backwards hats?
I don't have a policy on backwards hats. If you want to wear your hat backwards, it's fine. I don't have an issue if it's a snapback and you want to wear it backwards.
Okay.
That's a personal
you just
choice.
saying you got takes on everything? Give us anything, and now the first thing we ask, I don't really have an opinion on that.
No, I don't have a policy on it. Like, if
Do you
want
wear
to
your hat
wear
backwards?
Not very often. Like typically, if I do, I'm walking around my house by myself because I feel like I'm too old to have my hat backwards.
What does that make me when I do it then?
But do you do it? Do you do it in public?
I have, yeah. I'm a former catcher. Remember?
Oh, that's true.
But for instance, like my Rots Hots hat, I love that because it's one of those stretchy, semi-fitted hats.
Sure.
And it's got the it's closed in on the back, so when you wear it backwards, you don't have like the big wide opening showing off my receding hairline before the hat starts.
See, so I think that's the issue, Jason, because you and me both have that little receding hairline thing going. So maybe that's why I don't do it. But if you've got a full head of hair, yeah, go ahead. Wear the hat backwards. Who cares?
I don't think I've ever seen Tausch go backwards hat. He's always forward-facing. And he's always wearing a hat. I haven't seen him not wearing a hat since... I mean, he even wore it in our new Pella commercial.
I was about to say, did he wear it during the Pella commercial?
Oh, yeah. Last time
not
I saw
negotiable,
him without a hat,
not taking the hat off.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's. I think it might have been a Pella hat, but nevertheless, like I don't think since he went into the Packers Hall of Fame, I've seen him without a hat on. He is all hat all the time. By the way, great picture of that woman who got engaged at the Bucks game with him, not to him, but the fiance has the hat on backwards with the strap. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not a fan. Got to be closed off. All right. We got calls on hold while we're talking about hats. I want to get to those. I want to get to more texts. This is I'm always interested in where our fans are at. And so this, to me, has been a really interesting exercise. I also want to get to a few of the YouTube comments because there's some that are really worthwhile as well. That's all still ahead. Stick around. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Hey, it's Jesse Nelson. We're talking about the draft coming up in Green Bay, and of course that means we're also talking about Pepsi. Pepsi, a proud partner of the NFL and the NFL Draft. Again, super exciting thing happening up in Green Bay with the draft. Pepsi is bringing the Pepsi Challenge back for the NFL Draft. Visit the NFL Experience if you're up in Green Bay and put your taste buds to the test. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Have you had it yet? It's a fantastic addition to your game day. 0 calories, all the same great taste of a regular Pepsi. And guess what? Today is as good a day as any because Pepsi is also a proud partner of the Wisconsin Badgers. Kicking back this afternoon watching the Big Ten tournament. Make sure you crack open a Pepsi or a Pepsi Zero Sugar. Start your weekend right. And hopefully Wisconsin's playing for a while this weekend into the tournament next week. Make sure you're enjoying the tournament, the draft, every great sporting event with Pepsi or Pepsi Zero Sugar. Again, Pepsi, a proud partner of the NFL and the NFL Draft. Make sure you find a Pepsi or a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
There's no safer place to feel dumb than Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strofe.
We are adults on this program. Yeah. I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that.
Don't listen to the end of Monday's program.
Don't do that. Don't listen to the end of most of our programs. If you don't listen to the show, you can go ahead and say we are the most mature show on ESPN Wisconsin.
Mr. Irrelevant, live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30 on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Ben Brust here to tell you about Zimbrick European. They're Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, and certified pre-owned. But the best part is I've been working with them since 2018, and the evolution has been a 2-door, a 4-door, and now it's time for an SUV. My life has changed, and it's changed with Zimbrick European. Being a dad has made it really important to have the comfort and the safety that the SUV will bring me. Again, Zimbrick European off the Beltline at Rimrock Road. Of course, I found the sexiest car on the lot. Check them out.
Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Simple to play. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do, pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball and hockey, esports, and much, much more. Second half of the basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs is heating up on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. And don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight for playoff positioning. Download the app today. Use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
We're on the Badgers.
Who would have thought after 2 seasons?
Because we're on Wisconsin Sports.
That Greg Gard would have less of a hot seat than Luke Fickell.
This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Take my heart, don't break it. Love me to my bones. All this time I wasted. You were right there all along.
Let's go back to the phones. And as much as I love John Wesley, he doesn't get a fast pass. Sorry, Wes. Let's go to John in Milwaukee first. John, good morning. Welcome to Wilde and Tausch with Gabe Neitzel. I'm good, John. How are you?
All right. So I'm good. So I have a fill in the blank for you. We've heard Goody say this a million times, and I'm just trying to get people, our fans, to understand he's not going to change, and nor should he. This is a blank man's game. Fill in the blank.
Young man's game.
Young. 100 times. He's not like Ted. He'll tell you what he's thinking. Look at his last quote. He couldn't even put the water bottle down fast enough. You better be right. You better get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he proceeded to say, I'm paraphrasing, but it's close enough, not only are you giving up picks, which Goody will never do, you're giving up picks for an old guy. And if you really pay attention to the NFL, old guys get old. He's right about it's the young man's game. And when they get old, it happens quick, and it's over. Kenny
but
Clark.
John,
it just happens.
John, we agree. You and Gabe and me and Goody, we all agree. We're not saying that they should be an old team. We're saying that once or twice, especially when you have challenged your team publicly to ramp up its urgency, and you have publicly said it's time for this team to start competing for championships. What would be wrong in your mind, John, with a 1-player or 2-player exception? I'm not saying 10 players. I'm saying 2 or even 1. What would be wrong with that? You're still a young team.
I know, but here's what I would tell you that, and most people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. But I would rather see Devontae Wicks play than Devontae Adams because Adams is old. And he's old. Goody didn't want him 3 years ago. I'm not saying Goody's right. Time will play out. And Goody would say, I want to see what we have there. Because Devontae Adams wasn't good in his second year. Neither was Jordy. They all dropped passes. He thinks that his picks are good. He thinks they're going to perform better. And he thinks that he's got basically a whole other draft class coming back. Hopper didn't play. Morgan didn't play. Lloyd didn't play. Musgrave hasn't played. He thinks that the cupboard's not as bare as us fans think. So we'll see if he's right. I don't want Trey Hendrickson. I don't want him for $35 million and draft picks. Do I want Devontae? Yeah, I love Devontae. I wish he'd have never left, but he's old. And at some point, he's going to be Cooper Kupp. He's just going to break down. And I don't want to give those guys $23 million a year. You only have so much money. And the one thing I respect about him, and again, I don't know if he's right, Jason, and I'm not saying you guys aren't. I'm just saying that he has a plan, and he's going to stick to his philosophy and plan. And people who think, well, like the Bears, they're doing so much more than the Vikings. The Vikings hired a bunch of 32-year-old guys in their offensive line or defensive line. I don't want those 32-year-olds. And the Bears, they have no plan. Every year is willy-nilly, trade this pick, bring in this guy, do this, do that. They don't have a plan. I respect that he has a plan. Is it going to be right? I don't know. So to answer, I don't know if I answered your question, but there wouldn't be anything wrong with it, but he's just not going to do it. He's not going to. It's not how he rolls. He hates old people. And in his mind, 30 is 100.
An ageist.
He's not going to change. He tells you what he's thinking.
The way you hit hate there, the delivery was perfect. The delivery was perfect on that. Hates old people.
He doesn't like when, and he got burned. He did it twice, and he's never going to do it again. Mark my words. He did it with Bakhtiari. He got burned. He did it with Kenny Clark. He got burned. He's allergic to third contracts too. The two guys he signed in free agency, Jason, are exactly his MO.
Agreed.
Just watch and listen to what the man says.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago, he got the Smith brothers, ascending player, second contract. He got Turner, ascending player, second contract. Amos, same thing. Last year, McKinney and Jacobs, ascending players, second contract. This year, same thing, the two guys he got. That's his MO. Ascending players, second contracts. I'll pay more for those players. I don't like old players. He doesn't think you can win with old players. He thinks eventually they break. And now he's never going to give anybody a third contract, which is really going to get Packer fans mad.
Right, and that's why, and thanks for the call, John, that is why the Elton Jenkins question is so fascinating to me. Will he make an exception there? Elton Jenkins is 29 years old. He's got 2 years left on his deal.
This is other than quarterback, right? Because Jordan Love's going to get a third contract. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess technically he's already gotten a third contract. But you know what I mean? Like the contract that takes him past his 30s, right? Yeah. Like I think if Jordan Love continues to play the way we think he can play, he's going to get another contract. So it's obviously other than that specific position and kicker and all those sorts of things. But I understand, okay, if that's his philosophy, man, look at the teams that have won the Super Bowl. They've got veteran players. Yeah, they're young teams. They've got young players. They've got young ascending players. Take a look at what the Philadelphia Eagles have. Certainly young ascending players. Had some old guys on there, too. When they won the Super Bowl, they had Jason Kelce, who was, 2 years ago, or they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They had Jason Kelce, who was obviously an older player. They replaced him this year. They end up winning it, but that's not the biggest reason why. They still have other veteran players up and down that roster.
Lane Johnson is 34.
Yep. They've got experience. They've got older players mixed in. And it's not a completely old roster, but you've got a couple of those mixed in. And I think you need to have a couple of those veterans mixed in. Part of the reason why the Packers were so good at wide receiver, I believe, is because they continuously backfill position. They had the veteran to show the way, and then that by the time somebody was ready to take over, they could be that veteran to show the way for the next guy that was coming through. And again, it goes all the way back to Donald Driver, and then you add Greg Jennings, and then it's Jordy Nelson, and then it's Randall Cobb, then it's Devontae Adams. Like, you had that lineage, and yeah, you moved on from Jordy when he was a little bit older. Same thing with Devontae, but by the time you got to Devontae, there was no backfilling. There was nothing there. And part of the issue at that position is not just you don't have a receiver for this year. What the hell are you going to do at that position in 26? You giving Dobbs a contract extension? You giving Christian Watson a contract extension, having no idea what he's going to be coming off of an ACL? And then if you don't, now you're just left with two, which is why, again, I think they're going to have early assets in the draft that are going to be committed to the wide receiver position.
I think what happens is that they, even though it sucks for him, I think they get Christian Watson back at the end of the year. They see reason to feel encouraged about his recovery, and they get him on a one-year deal. Kind of like, remember when they did that with Tunyon coming off an ACL? Now, Tunyon never recovered. I think I saw he signed with the Chiefs last week. But he's a guy that I'm really eager to see what happens with Watson, but I think they probably get him back on a below-market one-year prove-it deal with a bunch of incentives, and then they can pay him if he comes back in 26 and plays well. I think Romeo Doubs is going to walk after this season. I just don't think that they can confidently know what to expect from him. And I think that's how that plays out. But he can make himself some really good money this season, whether it's from the Packers or from someone else, by playing really well and just putting his head down and playing well. Because last season, he created issues. He created questions about him with how he handled things early in the year, and then through no fault of his own, even trying to wear a Guardian cap. But the 2 concussions would give me pause. It just would. And if that's unfair of me, fine. But when guys start to have multiple concussions, that's when I start to worry, especially given how he looked walking off the field in Philly. That made me uncomfortable. That made me concerned. All right. I want to get to more of the phone calls. So, Wes, stay there. We'll get to you, and we'll get to Josh and Kenosha coming up next. Gabe Neitzel is in as our Cousin Sub of the day. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. It's Wilde and Tausch.
NBA Sunday on ESPN Radio.
One-handed jam! Donovan Mitchell!
Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic head to Cleveland to go head-to-head with Donovan Mitchell and the top-seeded Cavaliers.
Sunday on 100.5 ESPN.
Mark Tauscher here for the great team at Everlight Solar. Well, you know what month it is. Make sure your March is filled with busting brackets, not busting the bank with your energy bill. I'm here to tell you can save money and help save the planet with an easy switch to Everlight Solar. Our family is one of many who have made the switch to solar over the last several years. But when we first started, we weren't exactly sure what to do. That's when we met the great team at Everlight Solar, and they outlined the entire process and educated us on the benefits of making the switch. It was super simple. Join us in saving a ton of money and creating a greener environment for our family and the community by switching to solar. Learn more and schedule a free consultation at everlightsolar.com. That's everlightsolar.com.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by Steinhafels. Test Rest a Beauty Rest Black for your chance to win a dream Hawaiian vacation. Shop now and save up to $400 on Beauty Rest Black mattresses only at Steinhafels. Wisconsin women's hockey guaranteed to have the nation's top player this season. 3 Badgers named finalists for the Patty Kazmaier Award: Layla Edwards, Caroline Harvey, and Casey O'Brien. Just the second time ever a program has produced all 3 finalists. Wisconsin soon to be tied with Harvard for the most Kazmaier Award recipients. Winner announced Saturday, March 22nd. Hopefully the same weekend the Badgers will be chasing after their 8th national title. Wisconsin faces either Boston University or Clarkson Saturday at Levon Arena. Winner advances to the Frozen Four in Minneapolis.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContests.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
Zimbrick Honda has been a proud part of the Madison community since 1973. They're your one-stop shop for over 250 new Hondas to choose from. Whether you're looking for a sedan, SUV, or truck, their selection of new vehicles is second to none. Stop in today at their location on Fish Hatchery Road and lease a 2025 Honda Passport EXL for as low as $349 per month. Or browse their vehicle selection online at ZimbrickHonda.com. That's ZimbrickHonda.com. Shop local, shop Zimbrick Honda.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, there's been a lot of quarterback movement so far, but which under-the-radar move will have the biggest impact? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Let's make tonight the weekend. I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna wait. Got no reason not to celebrate. Baby, I just don't wanna wait. Tonight's the weekend. I don't wanna wait.
Almost as if on cue. News from Ian Rappaport. The Vikings have agreed to terms with veteran linebacker Eric Wilson, who started 12 games last year for the Packers but began his career in Minnesota. Eric Wilson is 30 years, 169 days old.
I mean, that writing was on the wall after they signed McDuffie, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. But they carried him and they carried both of their rookie draft picks at the position. I'm sure they expect Tyron Hopper to make a jump, but this is exactly what we're talking about here. You can't tell me that Eric Wilson on special teams and as a spot star, you saw how he played last year. If you're going to tell me that he can't help the 2025 Packers, I'm going to say like Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. But they want Tyron Hopper now to get those snaps. Whether that's the right or wrong decision, that's young man's game in a nutshell right there. Because he could still help you. Clearly the Vikings think he can help them, but the Vikings have signed a lot of guys that are north of their 30th birthday. All right, let's get to a couple more calls, but that kind of helps prove the point right there. Let's go to my buddy Wes, John Wesley. Wes, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm sorry we're not talking enough Bucks for you, especially with one of the voices of Bucks basketball on the program today.
Oh, big win last night. Fun win last night.
Yes, good win last. Yes, very fun. Now we got another big one tomorrow. Just a couple of things with the Packers that kind of frustrate me. The whole draft and develop thing. I mean, it's that's completely fine if that's his MO, but I have an issue with that being the MO. And like you and Tausch said yesterday, but when you are drafting these guys and a good portion of them either don't get to another contract or really don't make an impact on the team, I think that's an issue. And then the second thing is, if you look back at last year, what was better for the Packers, their offensive line or their defensive line?
Offensive line.
Offensive line. So since the offensive line was better, but yet they went and they signed a guy to go onto the offensive line, and they've still got the same, actually minus one guy on the defensive line. They're still going to have those issues. And then you think about it, what was better last year, the wide receiver group or the defensive backfield?
Defensive backfield.
Right.
No,
the defensive backfield. And so,
yeah, defensive. Okay, if it's the entire defensive backfield, yes, defensive
we're
backfield.
including the safeties.
Right.
If it's just the corners, that becomes a much more interesting conversation.
Right.
That's fair.
Sure, yeah, but as a group, it was a defensive backfield. So then what do? They're not addressing the wide receiver group, but they go and they sign a guy that's basically probably going to be a slot or a nickel cornerback. I guess
I would push back though, Wes. Like that's what the free agent market had. Like the free agent market had some depth at the offensive line. The free agent market had some depth specifically at cornerback. So it's not like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the Packers' biggest needs didn't match up to what this year's free agent class was.
But I think the point is there are guys that are out. There are defensive line guys that are out there that the Packers could have taken a feeler on. I mean, I think about it, the Packers have legitimately 3 legitimate NFL starters on defense. They've got McKinney, they've got Cooper, who's shown a lot of flashes, and as long as he can stay healthy, they've got Evan Williams, I believe that's his name. Mm-hmm. But you look at Quay Walker, nobody really knows. You look at, obviously, this Wilson guy's gone. McDuffie should probably be more of a special teams guy. Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark,
I mean,
they
come on,
basically
man.
been stealing money.
I'm not the biggest Rashawn Gary guy, but to say he's not a legitimate NFL starter is going too far. The guy's a starter in the is he playing like a star like the way he's getting paid?
Is he playing up to his contract? No.
We can have that discussion.
Right. Is he playing up to his money? Right.
No, he's not, but he's a starter.
He's
he's a legitimate player in this league. If the Packers cut him, somebody's picking him up.
Sure, but there's a lot of average starters that are out there in the NFL, and the Packers, unfortunately, especially defensively, have a lot of them. So instead of addressing those, they go and really address these two positions where they really didn't have that real need. There's more of a need for defensive line and wide receiver than there was for a offensive lineman that you look at the quote-unquote experts say that they overpaid.
What's a defensive lineman they should have gotten? Who's a defensive lineman they should have gone out that would be a starter day one right away?
I will say that they could have gotten Grady Jarrett for less than what the Bears signed him for. That would have been able to help Kenny Clark and plug up the middle, especially losing DJ Slayton to, I think, Seattle, wherever he went. That's one guy.
Cincinnati, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Or Cincinnati, right? Okay, whatever. So you talk about it. I kind of look at it as, since you talked about the Bucs, when the Bucs had young guys and they were coming up trying to win, they went and signed a guy like Jason Terry or a guy like Zaza Pachulia, not guys that are superstars, but guys that are showing these young guys how to win. When the Brewers were first learning how to win,
But I don't want to tell you how to make comparisons. I don't think Zaza Pachulia is the one you want to be making the example here. Zaza Pachulia, it's not like Zaza Pachulia got the Bucs over the top.
Gabe, the point is, when you have a young team, you need to get guys in there that show you how to be professional and show you how to win. I'm just talking about guys that have had experience in the league that came in. It's the same thing with the Brewers when they had your Fielders and your Hardys. They brought in Mike Cameron and they brought in Jason Kendall to show the team how to win. But the Packers, they get rid, of these guys that are going for the next contract, and they cross their fingers hoping that these guys in the draft are going to turn out to be good. And if they're not good, well, we'll just let them go and we'll try it again. Well, in the meantime, these other teams have young players too, but they're filtering in older guys that have been established in the league throughout the course of their career. That is the difference that I think a lot of Packer fans are frustrated with, is that, they want to be versatile and they want to get guys that are versatile, but yet these versatile players aren't filling some of the drastic needs that we all see when we watch the Packers every Sunday.
Yeah, the free agent market didn't dictate who was actually available to the Packers. The free agent market at wide receiver was terrible. We talked about it before free agency. After Davante Adams, steep drop-off to older players who are less productive than Davante. And yes, DK Metcalf became available via trade, but the wide receiving core, not very good. Same thing with the defensive line. Okay, do you want to take a crack at Chase Young, who ended up re-signing with New Orleans? I mean, the guy hasn't exactly been productive if we're going to, get after LVN and get after Rashawn Gary for not having double-digit sacks. It's not like there was somebody out there that was waiting to be a double-digit sack guy. I guess I don't have a problem with Goody's what Goody has done in free agency, because he's gone out and gotten two starters. Those two guys are going to be starters for this team in 2025. And I understand that maybe you didn't feel they needed an offensive lineman, but they needed to fill somewhere because Josh Myers left. Probably tells you how they feel about Jacob Monk after 1 year. The fact that they drafted a center last year and they're not plugging him in. Instead, it's going to be Elton Jenkins. They needed a cornerback, and who knows what's going to happen with Jair Alexander at this point. I still assume he is going to be released, but you needed depth at that position. You lost Eric Stokes, who goes out to Vegas, so you replace him with that other guy, with Hobbs, who's going to presumably be a starter based on the money that you gave him.
Wes?
What's wrong with that?
I mean, Hobbs and who's the guy that they signed from San Francisco?
Aaron Banks.
What's his name again?
Aaron Banks.
You think Banks is at the position? You think Banks is going to be better than what Josh Myers was last year at the position that they play?
Based on the money that the league is telling you that he is significantly better. Josh Myers and what he got versus Banks and what he got. Yes. But whether or not, hey, by the way, whether or not it was a hole that needed to be filled. Like, they filled it with a starter.
Didn't they just
figured
draft
it out.
a guy to fill a hole last year that didn't really play? I mean, wasn't Jordan Morgan supposed to be that guy?
Well, yeah, he got hurt. But you need 6 or 7 offensive linemen. We saw that quickly, how quickly that can fall off in the playoff game, that you need more than just the 5 guys that you have starred.
They had like 8 offensive linemen last year. It's like they keep recycling the same thing over and over and over again, but yeah, we're supposed to justify it because they signed this average guy to a contract that he only got in Green Bay. Like, I don't understand the fact of not addressing the needs, the actual needs. Wide receiver was a need. Defensive lineman is a need. That's what they needed.
Other than Devontae, who do you think would have been perfect for this team?
I mean, hell, you talked about it earlier today, and they talked about it yesterday. I mean, go out and Cooper Kupp is better than anybody that you have on the team right now.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp's going to play 8 games.
Get a guy like that.
Cooper Kupp's playing 8 games.
Christian, well, you know what? Those 8 games are going to be better than what you've got with Jaden Reed and Wicks and Bull Melton and whoever else you've got.
Hey, I'm not.
They don't have a wide receiver.
I'm not allowing any slander of Bo Melton. That's my guy. He's my Zaza Pachulia. Wes, I love you, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah, see you guys.
So that's the problem with Cooper Kupp. Like, he doesn't actually improve your team. He's going to improve it when he's out there.
Right. I think you're both my friends. I'm going to side with you on this because it's your argument about the fact that the market did not have the players that would have appealed to you at the positions of need. I think that's a fair, very fair argument. Josh Myers' PFF grade, which I'm not saying is the end-all, be-all, I always deliver that caveat, was 55.3. Aaron Banks's PFF grade was 65.4. 65.4 is not an elite overall grade. It is 50th among 135 guards they graded. So and I'm not saying this is the only way to examine his play. He's also going to be 28 years old during this season, so it's not like he's Xavier McKinney, who you got at age 25. But that seems like a lot of money for a guy who ranked 50th. That is outside. That is that is at the bottom quartile. If every team has 2 starting guards, that is at the bottom quartile of the 64 starting guards in the league, right? So
correct.
I think you can argue that it feels like an overpay, but again, not a strong classic guard either in free agency, and you had to get somebody.
But also, Jason, the contract they signed him to is essentially a 1-year deal.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably keep him for 2, and then they say, okay, this guy. I mean,
correct.
$29 million guaranteed is that's a hard number to walk away from after 1 year.
Mm-hmm. But they could, if he's not good enough, they could walk away from it.
Yeah, I'm just glad we mentioned Zaza Pachulia. That made me happy.
I did not see a Zaza mention coming.
That was a twist.
What is Jesse?
Ersan Ilyasova. I mean, if you would have said Ersan, like that guy.
Dan Gadzarich.
All fun names. Matthew Dellavedova. Jesse, I don't think any of those players have projections for tonight on Prize Picks, but maybe I'm wrong.
I can check. I do know there's a lot of college basketball on the board. And, of course, the time that Tausch doesn't ask me for help yesterday, 4 for 4 in the evening session last night. I got to hit the big fella up today because I don't know if he's paying attention when he's down in St. Louis, but I'll let him know that Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states. The app is really easy to use. It's easy for me to use, but it's also easy for Tausch to use, which actually says a lot. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, much more. The second half of the basketball season is here, but of course the tournament and all the action going on for the conference tournaments, the big tournament next week. That's what you want to take advantage of right now. The best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight for playoff positioning, for tournament positioning. Download the app today. Use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code WI. Prize Picks. Ready, Jason?
Run!
Your
game. The 11 o'clock hour starts in 2 minutes, so stick around. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for Kohler Services. Well, if you've been putting off your bath or shower remodel, now is the time to turn to Kohler Service. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. And this month only, get $1,000 off your Lugstone shower remodel and no payment financing until 2026. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
This is former Wisconsin linebacker Chris Orr. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN, WTLX, Monona, Madison, a Good Karma Brands radio station on Wisconsin.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson, Sports Center, brought to you by the Jump Around Tournament Special. Don't miss a special edition of the Jump Around, ESPN Madison's digital Badgers dedicated show with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias and Wisconsin Badgers forward Nolan Winter joining the show. Special edition Monday night starting at 6 o'clock, taking a look at the bracket and the path to a potential title for the Wisconsin Badgers. That is Monday night starting at 6 right here on 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. College basketball reigns supreme today. The Wisconsin Badgers in action approximately 1:30 this afternoon. The 5-seed Badgers, after defeating Northwestern yesterday, draw UCLA, the 4-seed, in the quarterfinal round of the Big Ten tournament. UCLA defeated Wisconsin by 2 points earlier this season out in California. Tip time, again, approximately 1:30, 30 minutes after the conclusion of Oregon and Michigan State, who just got underway in Indianapolis. Tonight, 5th seed Marquette, number 1 seed St. John's in the Big East semifinals. Tip time set for 5:30. Pregame starts at 5 on our sister station, 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Wilde and Tausch with Gabe Neitzel in for Tausch continues now.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
The 11 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch, just like Tausch when he's here, late. Wes playing the role of Tausch, I believe, in that
that's
equation.
That's my fault. I got it in with Wes, and that's on me. I'll wear that one, Jason.
Got after each other.
He is villainous.
Yeah, and he dropped the Zaza Pachulia on you. Quick question for the national radio host here.
Oh, boy.
Because this topic has basically been the topic du jour.
Sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah, no. Bullstream TV play-by-play announcer. And Muskego wins the state championship. Gabe, this is not how normal people do radio shows, right? Like, I think this is a great topic, and we've gotten great interaction. But there's not a lot of shows that go two hours and change on one topic.
That is correct. Yeah. But again, that's what makes Wilde and Tausch, again, that's what makes you guys, you guys. We've gotten a lot of really good interaction, a lot of great angles, I think, from a lot of fans talking about their favorite team. And there's a lot, because of the passion of the fans, it's a conversation that you don't think would go 2+ hours, and yet here we are, starting hour 3 late because of the passion of the fans.
Yeah, let's get to one more call. Yeah, but I didn't get into things like this handshake line in this Waterford-Whitnell game last night. Did you see this?
I did not see this.
Miles Hero, yeah. Tyler's brother.
Is that the younger brother of Tyler Hero? Yep. Shoving a Waterford dude in the handshake line. A little melee ensues. Pesky.
Sectional semifinals, a lot going on around. We had buzzer beaters. Tomovsky's kid held on for a victory last night for De Pere. Sun Prairie East upsets undefeated Kettle Moraine, setting up a showdown with Wanakee. A Madison team going to the D1 state tournament no matter what. There's a lot going on last night. Big night.
And Prep Mania is there for all of it. Let's get to one more call because, frankly, Josh held on for a really long time. We appreciate that. Josh in Kenosha. Josh, good morning. Thanks for holding on, buddy. What do you got for us?
I don't mind holding on for you. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
So first things first, shout out to Gabe for being awesome. We need more Gabe, and I love it when he's on the national broadcast. Second, snapbacks, always forward, fitted hats, always backwards. Third.
Okay. All right.
I think Goody has a weird obsession with being young and with holding on to draft picks. I think he's missing out on a key piece that your draft picks can be used in multiple ways to make your team better. You can't be afraid to trade some of them for guys who are proven, who know what they're doing, who can bring basically an on-the-field coach presence to your young team. And it's mind-boggling. Now, you can take it with a grain of salt because I'm a Bears fan, but he has a good roster for the most part. You have a good team. I'll cut you some slack for last year because of the injuries. It's a big part of why people struggled. Staying on the field is a big reason why so many teams have success. And when you have guys at multiple positions who miss multiple games, that can really throw your game plan off. And on top of that, they're in a weird transition with a different running back who we all saw the struggles with not being able to run play action. So I don't understand the obsession with not getting a guy over 30, because let me tell you right now, you think if Mike Evans, for example, was available, you're telling me that guy, because he's, 34 or whatever, is not going to instantly make your team better? He's going to break Jerry Rice's record for consecutive seasons with 1,000+ yards.
He's 31.
It would be mind-boggling if he would. Oh, he's 30. Okay,
he'll be
so
32
still,
in August.
So a guy who's going to be 32 when the season starts, who's been nothing but a Hall of Famer already, you're telling me you wouldn't go get that guy? It's mind-boggling. It almost smells of incompetence, to be quite honest. And I don't want to call Goody incompetent because he does have a hard job, but it just, how do you kind of cut off a big portion of what makes those championship teams great, which is that veteran leadership?
Yeah, I don't know, Josh, and thanks for the call. I don't know if there will be an exception during his tenure that we'll be able to point to and say, well, see, he finally did it for this reason. But I'm glad you brought up Mike Evans. Mike Evans has never not had 1,000 yards in a season.
It's outrageous.
He's played 11 years in the NFL. He's played for great Tampa Bay teams and not so great Tampa Bay teams. He got barely over 1,000 last year, 1,004 yards, but has never failed to reach 1,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, and last year was because he had some injury issues that he was dealing with, missed some games, so that's why he was barely able to get over that hump in the final game of the season. I don't know. If Mike Evans was a free agent, I have no idea if Goody would have been available. If Goody would have been open to going and getting Mike Evans. I would lean towards no, because he was obviously not in on Devontae Adams, so that would be my guess, is that he would not have been interested in Mike Evans despite the unbelievable success he has had to start his career.
I agree with some of the points made there. There's a couple of things in the YouTube comments, and I want to get to a quick text or two before trivia. But since Zaza Pachulia made an appearance on the program, or at least his name did, we've got in the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube conversation bringing up Bucks that would have comps on the Packers roster.
Okay.
And I think it's actually really good. Jay says the Packers need a P.J. Tucker. I love that comp. A veteran who's been there, done that helps make your team better, has a clear niche on your team, and is important. Do the Bucks win the NBA Finals without him? No, I don't think so either. So Jay, great job on that. And then Scott follows up with, who is the Bobby Portis comp for the Packers?
A lot of Bucks talk here.
It's a really good question.
Okay, who would the Bobby Portis
as Scott
comp
describes
be?
him, the guy they need right now is that energy guy, a little grimy, high energy, does the dirty work.
To me, that's Tucker Kraft, is it not?
Yeah, but Tucker Kraft is and I got a tweet yesterday from someone telling Tausch and I to slow our roll on Tucker Kraft. Do we not learn our lesson from crowning people prematurely? And now we were crowning him yesterday, which is a fair critique of us, by the way.
And please see the Badgers are a Final Four team, 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, that's gone well.
I
think
Tausch
Tucker
gets lost in the moment from time to time. It's why we love him.
It is part of his charm. I would argue that Tucker Kraft is probably going to end up being a higher caliber player than Bobby Portis, and I'm not dissing Bobby Portis when I say that.
Well, good, Jason, because, look, having the P.J. Tuckers is great, right? Like, the Bucks do not win the championship without P.J. Tucker. But honestly, and the Packers aren't going to be able to go out and get a Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they need a Chris Middleton. They need a Dame Lillard. They need stars, Jason. Like, the P.J. Tuckers only help you out if you already have the stars. The Packers don't have enough stars on this roster. They need people to either grow into those stars or Goody needs to go get one. And, again, the free agent market didn't really have the stars that it did that he went out and got a year ago. So does that mean he trades for Trey Hendrickson? Again, I doubt it. But they do not have enough stars on this roster to be a Super Bowl contender. That's their biggest issue.
Jesse, what do we have on the... I can't believe we're doing this.
What are we doing?
This Bucks crossover thing. Like, we totally stumbled into it because of Wes, but I kind of love it. I got to be honest. And I don't think, speaking of Giannis, I don't think Jordan Love is Giannis at this point. Aaron Rodgers was Giannis.
Yeah, there is no
Yes,
Giannis.
he was. Yeah. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was that guy. And look, you don't need a Giannis, but you need stars to win. Whatever sport you're playing. Again, look at the Eagles up and down the roster. Loaded with studs, loaded with stars. The Packers have a lot of B players, and that's good. You need a lot of those guys. But now you need those Bs to graduate to As if you want to be a Super Bowl contender.
Jesse, let's do a couple of texts before trivia.
Charles in Brookfield, I'm very, very curious if the Packers are staying healthier and less players are getting injured since Brian Gutekunst has started going younger. Has the number of injuries changed? Jason?
Yeah, I think he's right. I think they've probably, if you did the math, I mean, look, Christian Watson missed a ton of games. Jair Alexander has missed a ton of games. There have certainly been players that have had injury issues. But probably on balance, they've had pretty good fortune. I don't have the data to back that up, Gabe, but I would say that probably having more young players means you have most likely less injuries because there's less wear and tear on the players that you have on your roster.
Especially along the offensive line. It's felt like the last couple of years they've been very healthy there.
Except for that David Bakhtiari fella.
Well, but wouldn't that be he's the 30-year-old that he would be he's injured because he's old. Everybody else has been young the last couple of years, and they've been relatively healthy, notwithstanding the playoff game against the Eagles, which got really ugly.
One more here from Grant and Madison. Who is Goody's best draft pick so far? Jordan Love's not proven enough. He could still be a bust. The Packers are going to hover at the 7 seed until a change is made.
That's a really, if we don't allow you to choose Jordan Love.
I mean, even if you do allow to pick Jordan Love.
It's probably Jair, right? It's probably Jair at this point.
2-time second-team All-Pro. But I think we forget how good he has been because of how things have played out the last 2 years.
Correct.
Elton Jenkins is in that
he
conversation.
Would be on the list. Yep.
I would say Zach Tom is in that conversation. We can just scroll right past the 2020 and 2021 drafts entirely.
Isaiah McDuffie. Isaiah's not making the list.
He's He's not, with all due respect.
Second contract guy.
It's too early. It's too early for the 2024 and 2023 guys.
Yeah,
right?
and we can't, like I just said about Tucker Kraft, we can't go crowning him yet. We just can't. So, as much as they've accomplished and as much as they avoided the rebuilding process, I think Grant makes a fair point. I really do. I think that's very fair. And let's not forget that once upon a time, the 7th seed didn't exist. And we'd be looking at this team very differently had that not happened, because now they would have missed the playoffs each of the past 3 seasons. And I know that's an if and blah, blah, blah. But it's
and they would have been a Hard Knocks team. They would have been a Hard Knocks team, I guarantee it. Had they missed playoffs back-to-back years, they would have been on Hard Knocks last year.
Jesse, what's the trivia category and what caller would you like?
NCAA Tournament Flashback with Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. Looking back at last year's tournament to see how much everybody remembers is today's trivia category. How about caller number 10?
All right, caller 10 it is. 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. We'll play trivia next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Mark Tauscher here for Pizza Hut. Well, this time of year, it feels like every day is a big game day, and you need a winning pizza lineup to celebrate. Pepperoni, sausage and mushrooms, or ham, pineapple, and bacon? Well, the choice is yours. And right now, you get a large 3-topping original stuffed crust pizza for just $11.99 at Pizza Hut. Available for delivery or carryout, you can create your perfect pizza no matter the game plan for just $11.99. Order now on the Pizza Hut app or online at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 100.5 ESPN.
Lillard's going to tee up a 3, and he splashes it through from the left wing.
Brought to you by Michelob Ultra, the official beer of the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Bucks put an end to their 3-game losing streak thanks to a 126-106 blowout win over the LeBron Jamesless Los Angeles Lakers at Fiserv Forum. 4 Milwaukee players hit double figures on the night, led by Giannis, who fell an assist shy of a triple-double, finished with 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists.
Giannis sees 4 defenders between him and the rim, but he says, "That's not going to stop me." He lays it in through contact with a foul, and the lead is now 17 as the Greek Freak has started to dine on this Lakers defense.
Backup point guard Kevin Porter Jr. chipped in 22 points off the bench on 5 made threes. The 37-28 Bucks continue their 3-game homestand Saturday night against the Indiana Pacers.
This has been your Milwaukee Basketball Report on Madison's home for Bucks basketball, 100.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Michelob Ultra.
Every event tells a story, from the first impression to the final moments. Have someone guide your guests through every chapter the way you want the story told. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With a strong presence, great voices, and an award-winning team, trust us to guide, direct, and inform your guests through all the different chapters of the day. For fun, memorable entertainment for any event, please visit us at celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
Hey, ready to sweeten your game? It's time for Quick Trip's Nature's Touch Ice Cream. Ooh, making moves like the starting lineup of a championship team. Whether you're gearing up for the big game, celebrating a win, or just looking for a sweet break in the action. Chocolate, vanilla, cookies and cream, mint chocolate chip, and more. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad pick. So why wait? Flavor doesn't scoop itself. Get your hands on your winning Nature's Touch Ice Cream flavor today. Only at Quick Trip.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
Hey, it's Hunter Vaughn. ESPN Madison and Zimbrick Honda are celebrating the area's best high school sports stories with the Game Changers of the Month. Follow ESPN Madison on social media to see teams making an impact in their community. Nominate your local team today at ESPNMadisonGameChangers.com.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContest.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
Let's play some trivia. Let's welcome in our contestant. It is Mike, the wedding DJ. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. Thank you.
You and Jesse have lunch plans, or never mind. All right. Let's. The category is NCAA tournament flashback as we get ready for Selection Sunday. Question number 1, Mike, is this: the big fella, DJ Burns, helped lead which team to the Final Four as part of a...
North Carolina State.
In the interest of expediting the process, correct. Gabe, you got question 2.
NC State's coach fired earlier this year, despite going to the Final Four last year. Question number 2, which Ivy League school pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the tournament by defeating Auburn in the first round of the 2024 NCAA tournament? Was it Harvard, was it Yale, or was it Dartmouth?
Yale!
Wow.
Mike knows his stuff.
This is pretty good. Question 3, Mike, and what could be the shortest edition of trivia in Wilde and Tausch history is this: which of these teams won a game in the first 4 and the first round of the 2024 NCAA tournament before narrowly falling to the Marquette Golden Eagles in round 2? Was that Boise State, Colorado, or Vanderbilt?
Colorado Buffalo.
Should have been end of throw trivia.
A tour de force performance from Mike, the wedding DJ. Mike, you got all 3 right. You got 4 entries into the drawing, which is going to happen forthwith after the break when they kick off Whoa Nelly. Impressive, sir. I don't know if I would have gotten. I would have gotten NC State maybe.
Can you name the 4? Not Mike. I know he knows. You guys, Jason and Gabe. Can you name the 4 teams that were in the Final Four last year? Off the cuff, right now. Go.
NC State,
UConn, Purdue. Who was the other team?
Think local guy. Think local coach. Think of a coach from Wisconsin.
No hints.
Bama?
Nate Oates. Where does he coach?
Yep.
Bama.
Okay.
Alabama.
I had the coach. You had the school. Good teamwork. Mike, good job, buddy. We appreciate you.
Love you guys.
I love you guys.
All right, that is Wilde and Tausch trivia for today. Jesse and Gabe will take you home, starting with Whoa Nelly and followed by Feelgood Friday. Don't act like you're surprised.
Where are you going?
We discussed this already. We've got a gymnastics
You did not. I mean,
today.
when you say we discussed this, maybe you guys discussed this.
I might have forgot to tell Gabe until an hour ago.
I may have found out. Yeah, I may have found out like 45 minutes ago.
I appreciate you guys. You're such good teammates. Whoa Nelly is next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Mark Tauscher here for Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie, the name you can trust. Well, if we asked the experts to project a seated bracket of auto dealers, we would know for sure that Zimbrick Chevrolet would be a number 1 seat. Whether you're in need of a quick tune-up or a minor repair from the outstanding service team, or it's time to begin the process of buying a new or used vehicle with a friendly salesperson, Zimbrick Chevrolet is truly the name you can trust. But you don't have to just take my word for it. Stop by Main Street in Sun Prairie to see for yourself why Zimbrick Chevrolet is consistently recognized as a best of Madison operation. And to see service options or to check out new and used vehicle inventory, start by logging on to ZimbrickChevrolet.com to see all that Zimbrick has to offer. A slam dunk #1 seed for any auto experience. Zimbrick Chevrolet on Main Street in Sun Prairie. The name you can trust.
We ask and you answer. Tune in to Jim, Matt, and Molly every weekday 4 to 6 and follow at Jim, Matt, Molly on X to vote in daily poll questions. Presented by Siding Unlimited, your local window installation pros.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
With the next pick in the big draft, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Dane County selects you. As we count down to the draft in Green Bay, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is also counting on you to help meet the growing demand of mentorship in our community. Become a role model, a motivator, a supporter, a positive influence. Empower the young people in our community to create a brighter future for all. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County presents The Big Draft in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change. Learn how to get involved at bbbsmadison.org.
Hi, this is Lee, inviting you to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton. We got a great happy hour every day of the week from 4 o'clock to 7, and our patio during the summer is open too. If you're getting married, special occasion, a birthday, anniversary, or even a business meeting, we've got all the accommodations right here at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You work hard and sometimes you're not sure what you want to do, where you want to spend your money. I want to encourage you to come into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and say hello. It'd be a pleasure to meet you.
At UW Credit Union, our home loans have everything you need for your next big step, including up to $750 off closing costs for all home buyers. And first-time buyers can save even more. So if you're ready to trade roomies for more room, or your townhome for an out-of-town home, UW Credit Union will be with you from start to furnished. UW Credit Union. Apply online today. Equal housing lender. Credit may be limited as required by program. Visit uwcu.org for details.
Welcome to the 2025 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
The NFL Draft is now underway.
Live from historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
With the first pick.
Thursday, April 24th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
When you tell me I'm a wreck, you say that I'm a mess. How could you expect anything less?
It is Wilde and Tausch, ESPN Wisconsin. Wilde now gone, Tausch now gone. I'm your cousin of the day, Gabe Neitzel, along with Jesse Nelson to close out this Friday.
Neitzel and Nelson?
Yeah.
That's fun.
This is like a 3-inning save. You know, it's not quite the end. You know, it's not quite the 9th inning, and it's kind of long. So it's like a 3-inning save that they're asking us to close this out here, Jesse. And before we get to Nelly, we do need to draw the winner for this week's trivia. So that is your department. I will let you handle
it. It is. I wish you were here to be the celebrity guest that was able to draw from the cheese fry helmet of poker chips, but I have them here on camera so that we know that there's no nefarious activity taking place. I have drawn, and not far removed from victory, congratulations to Mike the Wedding DJ.
Oh, wow. Dominant performance in Friday's version of trivia, and he ends up a winner this week. on Wilde and Tausch trivia. Let's go ahead and get to Whoa Nelly.
If the topic is good, the guys discuss.
Just the other morning I had breakfast at Tracy Rocker's house. His mama brought out 15 flapjacks. He said, Mama, take back 5 of them flapjacks. I gotta stay hungry for the Crimson Tide.
But if it's not, the show must go on. It's time for
Whoa, Nelly!
On Wilde and Tausch.
Gabe, if you had a Venn diagram and you were doing similarities and things that stand alone about the cities of Green Bay and Las Vegas, what would be in the middle?
They both have football teams.
Uh-huh.
I think that's about it. Although I will say, because I was just in Vegas. I was in Vegas for the last 3 days for the WPGA event that they do out there every year. I am still shocked because Vegas has a lot of good restaurants, and we try to go to some of the more local ones when we're there. I am still shocked at the number of, chain restaurants that you can find on the Strip. That is just absolutely shocking to me, the amount of chain restaurants that still exist in Las Vegas, despite having all this other great restaurants and great food. The chain restaurants that exist is very shocking to me. So I would say that there's some chain restaurants they probably share in common, and they both have a football team, and that's about it.
At least one casino in each place.
Okay, I suppose. I forgot about Oneida up there. So yeah, sure enough, you have the one casino.
Eric Stokes, the free agent who was signed by the Las Vegas Raiders, of course, formerly a number 1 first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers, had this to say at his introductory press conference yesterday with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Green Bay is different. I love Green Bay. I absolutely love Green Bay. But after about 10 o'clock, there's nothing else to eat in Green Bay. So I'm really excited for the food options here that I can really show my big back activities. And so I just can't wait.
Look, I mean, he's not the first guy to knock the restaurant scene in Green Bay on their way out of town. Ryan Longwell famously did it all those years ago, talking about Applebee's. And while it has gotten better since Longwell, it doesn't live up to what Vegas has. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense for a lot of places in Green Bay to be open past 10 o'clock. It just doesn't make good economic business sense. I don't have a problem with what he said. We understand what Green Bay is. People who live in Green Bay understand what it is. You live there for a reason, and the food scene is not part of the reason you live in Green Bay. It's just not. It's not known for its culinary expertise.
There is at least one restaurant that, I don't know if they serve ice cream, so you know the policy around here, but might rhyme with Schmihop, that is at least open 24 hours. I know that on one of the main streets there in Green Bay.
I don't know if that's what you're looking for, though. Right?
Eric Stokes isn't looking for pancakes at 11 p.m.?
I don't think so, but maybe he is. But if he was, maybe he sticks around. Maybe he does.
Did we want him to
stick
around?
For $4 million, I wouldn't have minded for him to stick around for depth purposes. Okay. Because he did play well in the last 8 games of last year, despite not famously having a pass breakup, right? And I know Huber likes to work that into just about every story he wrote. Even talking about defensive linemen who had batted down balls. He was still taking shots at Stokes. So I wouldn't have minded that. But I will say this, speaking of Vegas, so I was on with Q Myers, who you're going to be hearing in about 20 minutes here across ESPN Wisconsin, Joe and Q on ESPN Radio. Q also works in Las Vegas for Raider Nation Radio, and I was on his show earlier this week, and we were talking about basically the exchange of quarterbacks that the Packers and Raiders ended up having. He was really high on Nate Hobbs, and he said he is a really physical guy. So I feel like that's something the Packers have been missing at that position specifically, so I am looking forward to the physicality of Nate Hobbs when he gets on the field for the Green and Gold.
Whoa, Nelly!
Look at you, Mr. National Connection. Dropping some insight there. We like that.
Here's my guy.
Then Gabe Neitzel, national ESPN radio host. What are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys feud ensuing now? For those who missed it, DeMarcus Lawrence spent 11 seasons in Dallas with the Cowboys, edge rusher. He has now signed a new deal with the Seattle Seahawks. And he said at his introductory press conference this week, quote, "A change in scenery is always good, but Dallas is my home. I made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So yeah, we're here." Micah Parsons didn't enjoy that very much, and they've gone back and forth on social media about it.
I understand both sides of this, right? Because here's the thing. DeMarcus Lawrence is 100% right. Like, he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas. Look at that roster. Like, it's just been so incredibly mismanaged, and Jerry just decides to handle every contract negotiation wrong by waiting to the last minute. The longer you wait for better players, the more expensive it becomes. You want to get out in front of those things as quickly as possible, kind of like, I don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs did when they signed their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, to the biggest deal ever, $450 million. Now, compared to every other quarterback, I don't think he's even in the top 10 in terms of annual average salary. And he's the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. So you get out in front of those things in order to avoid having to pay more. Jerry just hasn't been able to do that. That roster's a mess. Lawrence is getting older. Yeah, the Cowboys aren't winning a championship anytime soon. They haven't even been to an NFC championship game in 30 bleeping years. So yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence is 100% right. And look, Micah Parsons is a vocal guy. He's got his own podcast. So, of course, he's got to stick up for his team. And deep down, he probably even knows Lawrence is right, but he's just got to stick up for his team. So I understand the back and forth. But DeMarcus Lawrence is the one who's 100% correct here. The Cowboys ain't winning anything anytime soon.
How long do you think DeMarcus Lawrence was hanging on to saying that, and now that he's like finally free out of Dallas, he gets to just let it loose first press conference?
My guess is after they lost to the Packers, he probably went, okay, there's some bigger issues here. Because the Cowboys, again, that regular season, the Cowboys were the number 2 seed. And they were favored by quite a bit against the Packers, and then it just all fell apart.
Whoa, Nelly! All right, 2 more questions here for you, Gabe. First of all, this is conference tournament weekend. One of my buddies says this is the weekend. We usually go to Dubuque, Iowa. We go tear up downtown Dubuque for the NCAA tournament opening weekend. It's big grand time we've done.
You guys hit up Mystique down there? What are you guys going?
It's we bounce all around down. We added a bar crawl experience last year to Saturday when there's only the one standalone game, but otherwise a couple of good spots in downtown Dubuque we like to hit up for the sports books. My friend John always says we shouldn't go for the opening round of the NCAA tournament, though. We should go conference tournament weekend. That's the better college basketball viewing experience weekend if you want to bet all the games. If you're going over to Potawatomi Sportsbook, where Wilde and Tausch was yesterday, you think the better weekend for the college basketball fan to post up 3 or 4 days consecutively, just consuming basketball and living in the moment, experiencing those games and trying to win some cash. Conference tournament weekend or opening weekend of the big tournament next week?
Opening weekend of the big tournament next week. And I love conference tournament. Like, there is something comforting, especially like this Friday. Not necessarily yesterday, because you have a lot of teams that have buys, and like a lot of teams in the Big Ten aren't starting their run until today. But today with, again, the quarterfinals in the Big Ten, semifinals, a lot of other places, like today is a really good day. But it's not appointment viewing for me. Like, I'm comforted by the fact that once I'm done with this show today, I'm going to be able to flip around channels. I'm going to be able to find some sort of college basketball. But it's not must-see TV. I've got other things I got to take care of today. I've just been on a trip, got to do some things at home. Guess what? Next Thursday and Friday, it's just blocked off. I'm not going to miss it, because these games, while fun, don't have the ultimate consequence of if you lose, your season is over. That's what we have next week. And next week, again, despite how fun the conference tournaments can be, I'm a big advocate. It's still not the NCAA tournaments. It just absolutely isn't. It's like trying to say the last week of the regular season in the NFL when teams are vying for playoff position is somehow better than the playoffs. It ain't. Because the playoffs are always going to be better, because it's win or you're done.
Whoa, Nelly! Thank you for being on my side of that, so that we don't start changing all of our plans every
you can't. No, I mean,
year.
Yeah. Going to Dubuque. I mean, first of all, you're going to Dubuque. All right, like you're going to Dubuque.
Time.
Like it's not like a destination place.
Whoa,
Well, as somebody who has spent a lot of time in Dubuque, because I went to Platteville. Like, trust me, like there's nothing in Dubuque. It's not a destination.
Of good bars downtown in a little river city. It's a nice spot.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to have a great time hitting up the Chili's for dinner. But, like...
Open after 10 p.m.
If you're going to Dubuque, at least if you're... we go there for the NCAA tournament. Like, you would be embarrassed to tell people, we go to Dubuque every year. Oh, what do you go there for? Oh, we go there for conference tournament weekend? Like, no. Like, that just... Like, you would be embarrassed to say that out loud. And you should be embarrassed to say that out loud. So you cannot change that. It is around the NCAA tournament. It is not for conference tournament weekend.
Whoa, Nelly!
Last one, got a text from my brother-in-law this morning. I actually brought this up to Jason off air. He said, you should ask Gabe about that. I wonder what his thought is on it. So we have an expression around here Tausch invented, IPT, in poor taste.
In poor taste.
Is it IPT, this is from my brother-in-law Nick, to wish your coworkers happy birthday if they don't like it because they're older? He wished happy birthday to somebody today, and he thought he was being very nice, say, oh, happy birthday, and brought stuff in, made a big deal out of it. And it turns out his coworker wasn't really a big fan of that because he or she is a little bit on the older side and doesn't like celebrating the birthdays as much as maybe he or she once did.
So I have never really been in my adult life, because every kid, when you're a kid, you're all about your birthday, right? I feel like as an adult, you should grow out of that. Now, if somebody wishes me a happy birthday, I'm not mad that you wished me a happy birthday, and I'm not mad because, I know I'm getting older. It's part of just life in general. You're going to be older, and it's just part of what it is. When it was my birthday, Greg Matzik, teammate here at ESPN Milwaukee and WTMJ, had sent me a text saying, I would never wish you a happy birthday because I know you don't like being wished a happy birthday. So that was his way around it of not saying it, but kind of saying it. Look, I mean, if you say happy birthday to someone, I don't know why was your brother-in-law the one who was responsible for bringing stuff into the office? That's what I want to know. Because
I have no idea what the dynamic is there.
Yeah, that's the weird part to me. Because if you just say happy birthday to someone, I say thank you and I move on with my day. Because my birthday, it's just not, it's not that big of a deal to me. It's just another day, and we can proceed accordingly. But bringing in a bunch of stuff for somebody who doesn't want their birthday celebrated, that to me is in poor taste. And I will say this as somebody who forced Homer to celebrate his 60th birthday 10 years ago. We threw a surprise party for Homer 10 years ago to celebrate his 60th, which his wife was thrilled about because she promised him she would not throw him a party. So she was thrilled that we were throwing him a party. So I feel by making Homer's wife happy, that superseded the misery that Homer had for celebrating his birthday. We all love Homer's wife.
I think if it brings other people joy to celebrate your birthday, everybody has one. It's not like you're trying to hide the fact you don't have a birthday. It happens at some point. If it brings other people joy, lighten up a little bit. They don't have to make the biggest deal out of it, but if someone says happy birthday, don't be like, ah.
Yeah. Exactly.
You. Yeah.
No, again, to me, the line that was crossed was bringing stuff in to celebrate the birthday. If you don't want your birthday celebrated, that's your right. It's your birthday. You don't want it to be celebrated. That's fine. If somebody says happy birthday, you just say thank you and move on. Greg on the Carbless Talking text line here in Milwaukee, I think missed the point, saying, Gabe, there isn't a Chili's in DBQ. And he also says he lives 15 minutes west of DBQ. I hope you have a good time, Jesse. Look, Greg, I was just making a joke.
You're insulting Greg's big city community there.
Yeah, I was bustling metropolis. If it's 15 minutes west of Dubuque, okay, you're pretty close to where I went to college then. Because Platteville is only he's 15 minutes west of Dubuque, but I was 20 minutes east of Dubuque for about a 4-year period in the late 2000s.
We learned last year, every year we're in Dubuque and we catch an Uber, we're talking to a local, we say something about they have this aquarium right on the Mississippi River, and we always say it's right next to the casino. We're like, oh, we've always wanted to stop into the aquarium. Every single person said, it's actually really nice. Every single person, that is the exact phrase they'll say, it's actually really nice.
So I haven't been to Platteville in a long time. So I haven't been to that part of the states or country, if you cross, obviously, to Dubuque. Is the Diamond Joe Riverboat Casino still there?
It is not a riverboat, but it is a establishment on land now.
Okay.
Yes.
That's disappointing.
No.
I missed the riverboat.
That's what I hear.
It was weird, but it was kind of cool. All right, we do have to get to our Feelgood Friday, painted by Holman Lindsay Paints. We do that next on Wilde and Tausch.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Mark Tauscher here, and it's another Feel Good Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Holman Lindsay Paints. Well, when you're ready to get started on your next paint project at home, I recommend you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Holman Lindsay to get the job done right. To get connected with the perfect pro painter for what your project calls for, just stop into any Madison area Holman Lindsay location and ask. The team at Holman Lindsay will help find the best pro for the job. From winter snowstorms to the heat of July and everything in between, Hallman Lindsay is the one paint you can trust to withstand the challenges of Wisconsin's weather year-round. That's what makes it Wisconsin's best paint. Hallman Lindsay, great paint, great people. And check them out at hallmanlindsay.com. And stick around for Feelgood Friday coming up to close out today's show, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints.
You, rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by The Jump Around. Don't miss new episodes of this exclusive digital show talking all things Wisconsin sports, premiering every Thursday at 12:30, streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Best trio on the ice. Wisconsin women's hockey guaranteed to have the nation's top player this season. 3 Badgers named finalists for the Patty Kazmaier Award: Layla Edwards, Caroline Harvey, and Casey O'Brien. Just the second time ever a program has produced all 3 finalists. Wisconsin soon to be tied with Harvard for the most Kazmaier Award recipients. Winner announced Saturday, March 22nd. Hopefully the same weekend the Badgers will be chasing after their 8th national title. Wisconsin faces either Boston University or Clarkson Saturday at Levon Arena. Winner advances to the Frozen Four in Minneapolis.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
In theaters February 14th. This film is not yet rated.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Introducing the newest carbless flavor, Mango Vodka. Flavored with the essence of the ripest, freshest mangoes, carbless mango vodka will transport your taste buds to a sunny beach getaway. New flavor, still the same carbless crafted cocktails with 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and only 100 calories. Enjoy a refreshing vodka cocktail without the guilt. 4 packs of the new carbless mango vodka cocktail are available in stores near you. Find your bliss today at drinkcarbless.com and escape with every sip.
Have you been waiting to buy your next home? Stop. Now is the time to get housed. What's up, Madison? It's Stacy from Bruner Realty. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what the future holds. The longer you wait to find your next home, the better the chance you'll be paying more for it than you would be today. Don't miss out on what could be the best opportunity to find your dream home. Contact our team at BrunerRealtyInc.com to help start your search. That's BrunerRealtyInc.com. Let's get house.
Mark Tusher here for Chalmers Jewelers. I've been a big fan of Scott Garrett and the whole team at Chalmers Jewelers for years now. I go there, my friends go there, and most importantly, my wife loves it whenever I get her something from Chalmers Jewelers. It's my go-to spot for birthdays, anniversaries, and any special occasion. For quality jewelry and a great experience, choose Chalmers Jewelers, the place to go for that perfect gift. Stop at Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
and Madison.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
You gotta get down on Friday. It's time to finish the week off right. It's Feelgood Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay.
Born and raised under the rain and a western wind, felt the way, trying to live up to the say I am.
Quickly getting to Feel Good Friday, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints here on Wilde and Tausch. Before we do that, Jason from Waukesha also saying DBQ, quite the spot for a nice weekend getaway. Great food and breweries, and the aquarium is really nice. So there you go, Jesse. There you go. Another person stepping up for Dubuque as a great weekend getaway. My Feel Good Friday, and maybe it's a little bit of a pat on the back to us here at Good Karma Brands, but I was pleasantly surprised when I saw a press release hit my inbox when I was in Vegas earlier this week. I think part of the issue for Major League Baseball has been access to fans. And with this whole mess that's been going on with FanDuel TV and all these different things, where can you find games? The Brewers reached out to Good Karma Brands, and we helped them out, getting them the best deal. But the Brewers are going to be airing 10 games over the air live television here in Milwaukee. It is going to be on Fox 6. News Channel 3 in Madison going to be carrying those 10 games, including the Brewers home opener later this month, just a little over 2 weeks away. So that's just a big win for Brewers fans. Jesse, and I know you're a big Brewers fan. Just having access to games and having that with 10 games over the air, and after opening the Brewers home opener, it's all going to be Tuesday games, is just a really good thing for Brewers fans that they now have access to games that maybe they don't, because more and more people have been cutting the cord and don't have access to FanDuel TV or Bally or Fox Sports and all the different iterations that has been. But that's really good for Brewers fans.
It seems like something so simple, but yet we've taken it for granted, especially over the last few years when it's been more prominent. So yes, the fact that our company has a part in playing so that we can have the Brewers more available to the fans around the state is awesome. So I'm right there with you on that one. I also wanted to give a shout out to Michelle Smallman, who joined Wilde and Tausch this week from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio. This morning, she announced she's running in the New York City Marathon on behalf of the V Foundation, of course, for cancer research with ESPN. You hear all about the V Foundation year-round, and they set out at the start of Unsportsmanlike this morning, Evan Cohen, Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, to raise $3,750 before the end of their show today to help Michelle's run for the cure for the New York City Marathon. They went over $4,000 in those 4 hours that they were on the air. So very well done by the fans of Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings, 5 a.m. It starts on ESPN Wisconsin and on ESPN Radio all around the country.
That'll do it for us here on Wilde and Tausch. Joe and Q coming your way next. It's on ESPN Wisconsin.
Miss any of today's episode of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? Commercial-free full show podcasts are available free on Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.